as I was saying, the other thing I like about this is that it's basically just more player option. If for whatever reason, if any reason whatsoever, you just want to go ahead and adjust what you went through, or maybe for that previous section where you're fighting the goblins and the rats that I just went through, if you were like, you know what, I don't actually want to play this class, then you can change that. It's great, and I love it. So... I wonder how long it's going to take people to realize that the stream is actually back up. I love this music. So, oh hey, there's the aura request. That's another one that you could get there. And yeah, I've been back for a while. Could you tell people to refresh, please? Because I've been back for like forever. I lost connection for like 2 seconds. So I've kind of kept talking. And I'm going to keep talking because I don't really have a good way to explain this, so I hope at least someone understands with my terrible, terrible words. But this moment right here, when I think of Oblivion, this is probably one of the biggest moments that really just comes to mind immediately. Is walking out here and seeing green. And seeing trees, and seeing the waters, and seeing the rocks, and seeing just, my god. And if you'll notice, the render radius has been pushed back a lot. Like, this is actually something they specifically worked on. In fact, they developed a new... Where is it? There it is. They developed a new, I suppose, algorithm would be the word I want to use here. That specifically rendered... This is something that's kind of common, actually, in gaming, but they had to come up with a new thing. You know, close stuff rendered well, rendered poorly, rendered worse, so that they could push the render radius all the way out. You could basically see most of the world if you get to a nice spot, and I like that. I love this moment. And yeah, this is pretty much the exact moment. Like, yeah, okay, I spent a ton of time on the Bucket, and that was cool. But this is the moment where I was like, oh my god. Oh my god. And yeah, the first thing you see, this is clearly designed. I mean, look at this. There's no denying this is designed. The first thing you see is this. So what do we see here? So we're facing this direction. Cheydinal is basically designed to be the first place you go to. We will not be, for the record. We've got a statue right there. A docks leading straight to an Ayleid ruin. And yeah, that's actually not a theory, thankfully. I am actually going to talk about that. I hope you guys will forgive my indulgence for a moment, because I want to talk about something very near and dear to me. And it's really stupid. I'm going to admit it. It is really stupid. But I want to talk about it. Is that cool? There we go. So, you know, you come up here. This is actually one of the first Ayleid ruins you can see. There's always some bandits right here. They immediately attack you, of course. We'll be talking about the political realities of banditry and marauders later. But there is actually a distinction between the two. I was stealthing, of course. So, you know, sneak, sneak, sneak. We're not going to go into the dungeon right now. No real reason to. Now, there's a lot of ways you can go through, but generally, most players I've seen tend to go in, like, this direction, somewhere in this cone. Because of obvious reasons, this is where you're pointed at. Now, what's actually funny is if you happen to look at the map, we're actually supposed to go in literally the exact opposite direction. Now, I mentioned that because it has been argued, and I don't know how much of this was deliberate or not, that one of the things they wanted to do was to emphasize you don't have to do the main quest, basically. That they wanted a different direction of it than they did in Morrowind. Now, they kind of did the same thing in Morrowind, if you remember. Like, you get to Caius Casatus, and he says, like, for 2 separate quests, he says, go do some adventuring. In this game, rather than go do some adventuring, it's like, here you go. Have the world. Not that I'm aware, Dream Whisperer, no. See you around, Grey Ghost. Hello, Stansalot. Oh yeah, by the way, you can also see that lovely sight when you get out of here. God, I this game. Sorry. Anyways, okay, I'm actually just a little bit off base. Now, I want to share something, and I want you to go ahead and be okay with making fun of me, because I'm about to admit something. Something embarrassing that fills me with fear. Thank you very much, Spearhawk Gaming. As ever, those Twitch Prime subs are highly appreciated, and I'm very grateful for them. Thank you. Up there he is. Don't worry, we'll start cheating later. We don't really need to cheat yet. Exactly, a boring. I might have passed it. I hope the rock's still there. We actually have a terrain mod on. Oh, no, there it is. Right here. This is it. I'm trying to think of how to phrase this without sounding really, really stupid. I had gotten to this point right here. I don't remember why I climbed up. Actually, what I actually did was I kind of climbed up like this. And this is actually the first time I turned around. I hadn't turned around earlier. And I looked and I saw this site. I saw the trees, I saw the Imperial City. And I'm like, wow, that's absolutely gorgeous. And, you know, there's the lake right there. And there's the mountains off in the distance. And the beautiful sky. It's one of the reasons I love this backdrop. I absolutely adore this skybox. And I looked down and I basically just lost myself in my imagination for a moment. Because I could literally picture reaching down in character and running my fingers through the grass on this rock right here. And something about that has always kind of connected me to this moment, being like the idea of what it would be like to be here. Both in character, being freed and starting the adventure, and out of character, if I were to visit, like if I was to myself into Tamriel, I would beeline for this rock to reach down and touch that grass and look up and see White Gold Tower. And it's really embarrassing and stupid, and I've kind of made it a trend. In fact, I'm pretty sure I did this for the roleplay as well, to visit this rock every time I play this game. So that's my really embarrassing, stupid story. Oh, I suppose I should explain something really quick. Why reaching down through the grass is significant to me. I really like the scent. Yeah, the scent of the forest. I really love the scent of earth and grass. And I really love the feeling of grass in general. It's always been a thing that's helped me to connect myself with reality. I know that sounds weird, but it's easy when your brain kind of goes like mine does to kind of get disconnected from reality. And that sensation of grass through my fingers has always kind of helped to ground me. So, yeah, like I said, stupid little thing. Anyways. That's true, Necro. If that theory is true, this is literally the first time this character has ever really... And this is a great moment for, like I said, trees, lake, you know, the grass around here. This is an amazing, gorgeous landscape. So don't mistake me. I'm not trying to say that the jungle retcon was great. I'm just trying to say that I do enjoy what we have here. Anyways, let's go ahead and keep going. I do have a couple things I need to do really quick. Let me actually pull up my notes here. There we go. Ignore that. Where'd he go? Where'd he go? Oh, there he is. I passed him.
State your business, citizen.
What's up? What are some rumors?
The Emperor is dead, and so are his heirs. We're a legion without a leader. The Blades were trusted with our Lord's protection, and they failed. Farewell, citizen.
I will admit that it does get a little samey. I will agree with you on that, Django. I wish there was more variety to it. But I will also admit that I do like this aesthetic a lot. So, it's actually a problem Oblivion has in general. Like, imagine for a moment, like, mentally put yourself a few steps back and try to picture that you're playing Oblivion, and so there's an Ayleid ruin. That's true, there's the snow areas, but there's the Ayleid ruin, and then there's the cave, and then there's the underground fort, right? But then you go through another dungeon, and it's a different thing. Like, it may still be a fort, but it's clearly different. Different in design, different in aesthetic. And it's like, oh, okay. And then you go to another fort, and this fort's pristine. Like, unlike most of the ruined forts, it's, you know, all the things are nice looking. It's like, oh, okay. And then you go to a third fort, and this one's even different looking. It would have been cool. What I'm trying to say is that I don't think the dungeons in this game are actually that terrible. In and of themselves, I think it's the repetition that, excuse me, that makes them terrible. You know what I mean? Oh, hey, there's a fight going on. I was actually hoping for this to happen. Bandits! Uh-oh. I got your back. I got your back. Hang on. I gotta be very careful here. I don't want to hit my ally. It's very easy to accidentally hit your allies. Or people you don't want to hit. In fact, we're gonna have issues with that for Kvatch. Oh, it's not bandits. It's actually a conjurer.
You have my ear, citizen.
Maybe I'm weird, but I do think one of the cooler things about this game is just stumbling upon events like that. Now, Fallout 3, weirdly as this may sound, did this both better and worse. Because Fallout 3 did a thing where, I have no idea, Jungle. We figured it out, but Fallout 3 did a thing where there are several... there's basically like 40 or so scripted encounters, and they will randomly happen at scripted encounter locations. The problem with Fallout 3 is that those scripted encounter locations are kind of widespread and aren't really super logical to walk into in many cases. So on an average normal playthrough of Fallout 3, you actually only encounter like maybe 5 or 6 of those 40 scripted encounters. You have to go looking for them. In Oblivion, there's very few scripted encounters. There are a few, but there's like 5. You know, nowhere near as many. Oh, hey. This is kind of cool. For a purely gameplay perspective. Boop. You can actually draw power from Ayleid Wells, which gives you a buff there, which I'll go ahead and show you exactly what it does here. That would be Fortify Magicka, which basically gives you an additional 50 magic to your pool. And those are really easy to access all over the place. So if you're a mage and you're kind of struggling early on, nice little tip there. Whoops. Didn't mean to do that. Oh, don't worry. I'm going to tell you guys the anvil story, too. So, let's talk about bandits while we're traveling over here. Whoops. There are several lore explanations for why banditry is basically out of control in this setting. It boils down to the idea that there's a reasonable number of people in lore who either... How do I put this? So in lore, obviously I could walk between Cheydinal, which I basically just left, and the Imperial City, which is where I'm going to, in like a few minutes, right? Yeah, basically, Necro, yes. They're constructed mana taps. Think of it like an oil geyser, except less horrifically nightmarish and destructive. Bandit, the banditry in between is basically the people who, for the most part, don't have basically been exiled or don't really fit in or are already wanted. In other words, the people who are not good enough to be a part of the Thieves Guild, are not skilled enough to be a part of the Dark Brotherhood, and basically have nowhere else to go and nothing else to do. Now, let's be clear, there is no explanation for the scaling and the bandits running around in glass armor. That's just stupid. But that is the lore explanation for the banditry problem here. Now, there's also actually a separate faction called the Marauders. Now, the Marauders, in addition to the fact that they have a separate faction flag, are a separate organization, a separate type of people, I should say, in lore. And it's really easy to explain the difference between the two. Bandits are just people... Oh, yeah, or not trustworthy. That's a good way to put it. Bandits are, like I said, they're just vagabonds. They're people who haven't been able to find another place in society to fit into, so they just live out in camps and they rob people and occasionally they kill people. Marauders are actually more organized. Marauders are almost universally part of groups and part of roaming bands, and usually have basically a tribal structure going on. So if you were to think about it in terms of tiers, we've got like normal citizenry up here, bandits down here, marauders are actually in the middle. Again, this is in lore. Now, in gameplay, like I said, Marauders and Bandits are... Yeah, land pirates, a good way to put that. In gameplay, Marauders and Bandits are separate factions who hate each other with a violent passion. In fact, they are both kill on sight to the other faction, which I find amusing. I'm not 100% sure why that is, actually. I'm not sure if that's an oversight or if it's just a way to differentiate the two from a gameplay perspective. But I always find it funny when you accidentally stumble across a group and they're like, rah, rah, and from a distance they look the same, but then you get closer and this one was a Marauder and this one was a Bandit. So, also, there's another weird one. I forget the exact specifics of it, but it's possible for foresters who have scripts that specifically go after, animals, but under certain circumstances... Actually, that's not true, Django. But under certain circumstances, like if you kill an animal like in range of a guard or whatever, and that animal was flagged in a certain way, that could be counted as a crime. So then they start turning on each other, and it's another one of those bugs in the AI, basically. Now, Django says there's no difference between Marauders and Bandits in-game. That is, again, as I said, that's actually not true. Because Bandits always tend towards ranged weapons, light armor, daggers. Marauders always tend towards the heavy stuff. They usually have steel armor or ebony armor, dwemer armor, or whatever. And they usually attack in packs, whereas Bandits may or may not. And they usually have bigger weapons, usually two-handed stuff like that. Now, I know that's not a big difference, but I do want to point out that Django's just being more negative to Oblivion than he should be because he hates Oblivion. There's also the occasional bandit who actually has...
This is a holdup. Hand it over or die.
More to them than just auto-attack. Please, I don't have any money.
That's fine. This one will kill you for free.
No, no, please, anything but that. No! So, I am not looking forward to Sky Oblivion, no. I don't think Oblivion really needs... I mean, I wouldn't mind doing a proper remake of Oblivion, but I think it needs it a lot less than, for example, Morrowind. I honestly think Oblivion has aged reasonably well. Not very well, but reasonably well. Okay, so I've talked about... oh, hang on. Is this... Yep, there you go. So here's an example of what I'm talking about. Marauder, iron armor, and big ol' iron longsword. So that's what I was talking about earlier. Now, I do want to mention one other thing. Django, I'd love your opinion on this, because you know Morrowind better than I do. In my opinion and experience, for better or for worse, there's not a whole lot of options to be the bad guy in Morrowind. Care to confirm or deny? Like, I mean, there's a whole... I mean, I could speak for Tribunal, of course, and I guess in Solstheim you could become the werewolf and just kill the hell out of people. Oh yeah, by the way, this is kind of a cool little thing. Some of these stones basically only light up at certain days and or hours. So this one's actually lit up right now, so we can go like, bam! And I could get basically free conjured armor and weapons. I will not be doing that because that's basically antithetical to my playstyle. But, you know, if you're ever curious, it's another little thing they added in. I have done a pure mage run. I have done a pure sneak run. I've done a pure warrior run. I've done a pure hybrid one, what I like to call the omni-mage. I've done a whole lot of runs. There's only a couple of things I haven't done in Oblivion, and that's getting into the more esoteric stuff, like the Atronach playthrough I've never done in Oblivion, which is funny because I've done it in Morrowind. Oh yeah, there was one other thing I wanted to point out. I'm actually taking a weird route to show it off. Here, let me stray from the road a little bit. Because I want to know how many of you did what I'm going to do as soon as I find a place to demonstrate it. You gotta give me a minute to find some place to demonstrate it. Here we go, should work. How many of you did this? Now, let's take it a step further. How many of you went out of your way to do this? Every time you saw any bush or flower or mushroom and were like, ooh. And then to take this to the third and final step, How many of you have taken absolutely goddamn forever to get from point A to point B because harvest, 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 harvest? I'll raise my hand on that third one, which also, by definition, encompasses the first two. Gotta get all of it. Gotta get all of that stuff. Gotcha, Django. So there's Shivering Isles just activated. I gotta admit, as much as crafting was probably functionally better in Morrowind, and I'm willing to admit that, I do love crafting in Oblivion. I love getting all the things. I love figuring out what the effects are. I love experimenting with alchemy. I legitimately enjoy just spending my time figuring out what was useful for what and figuring out what I could make with what. This is probably the... Well, okay, I shouldn't say probably. I'm saying this the wrong way. This game and Morrowind are the two games that I really dug into crafting. Oh yeah, by the way, you might wonder why there's rogue mages out and about.
Oh.
We'll actually talk about that in a minute. And by a minute, I mean probably not even today. But we will discuss why there are rogue mages out and about, other than the obvious reason. That is true absurdity. Now, one big difference, and as I mentioned earlier, this is a debatably better thing. One big difference between Oblivion and Morrowind with regards to crafting is in Oblivion, there's certain stuff that you just can't make or can't do without a hard skill reg. Whoops, wrong thing. By which I mean, so 0 to 25, 25 to 50, 50 to 75, 75 to 100. Those are the brackets. And so to craft certain things, both regards to spell and alchemy, you basically need to be within a certain range. And the higher up you get, the more access you have to stuff and the easier it is to make stuff. That is basically not a thing in Morrowind. It's just dependent on your flat skill. So I want to pause for a moment. This is actually a way shrine of Dibella. There's an extremely high certainty that this is actually blessed by one of the 9 divines. And it actually does cast a spell on you when you do this. It is an extremely... Oh, sorry, you're right. It is actually 79 to 75. I should have clarified that. No, I am not Bad Wolf Live. Unfortunately, we haven't gotten to that game yet. And probably won't for months at this point. But doing these little shrine things is actually a quest we'll be doing later. They do actually have a provable definitive magical effect and have provable definitive connection with the 9. The only question... And this is where we get into the debate. I'll go ahead and give this a debatable for this, is whether or not this is something that people crafted, basically to honor the 9. Like, basically someone sat down and said, hey, you know what, I really want to make... this specific spell or blessing, which is connected to, like, this enchantment that I've made here. Or that it is actually something that is being powered or provided or whatever by the 9. It is actually pretty likely overall that those are actually connected to the 9. And we're kind of going to leave most of our discussions about the 9 for the Knights of the 9 DLC for pretty obvious reasons. So let's just leave most of that on the wayside for right now. Now, I don't know if you've been paying attention. I'm actually demonstrating something. I'm not just wasting time. I want you to look at my map here. So just idly walking. So we've got... There's where I left. I found Vilverin, the Wellspring Cave, Fort Magia, Pell's Gate, Vindicel, Fort Virtue, Fanasiskul, or however you're supposed to say that. I think there's actually another one up ahead here. And I bring this up because this is something that I want to talk about. I want to talk about fast travel. Now, I think I've made my opinion on this clear, and I'm going to say this very, very simply. Fast travel, as an option, is something I am almost universally in favor of. It would be very difficult for you to argue, to convince me of a game that shouldn't have fast travel. I'm not saying it's impossible, but having fast travel as an option is awesome. one of the most common complaints I hear about fast travel in Oblivion is that it takes away from traveling on the world. But I have never believed that for even a millisecond, because as I have literally just demonstrated over the past few minutes while I've been talking, I have already discovered a significant portion of the world just by walking through it. And I like doing that. And I do that because I want to. My usual... Someone asked earlier how many times I beat Oblivion. It's in the 30-plus range, easily. My usual standard playthrough is head over to Cheydinal, and then walk, usually skipping the roads, actually, down here, and make the very, very long trip down to Leowin, which will take me usually days of real-life gameplay just to make that trip, because I love doing all that stuff in between. I love doing that stuff and in the middle. But you know what's interesting? There's two things that's the reference here. First of all, if I don't want to do that, if I don't want to go traveling and encountering all the stuff in the way, I don't freaking have to. I could go to Leowin right now. Bing. Done. I don't agree with that, Shadow Machine. Warp pipes. Also, more recent ones have that. But yeah, you don't have to do that. You could just warp there. And then there's another... Yeah, no kidding, boring. Then there's another side of this. Now, this is very important. This is actually probably the most important reason why I could never be convinced that fast travel is a bad thing in these kind of games. Because once I have done this, and this is, again, my standard playthrough, is I usually walk around and encounter tons of places and do tons of side quests and tons of dungeons, just for fun, right? Oh, I still disagree with you, Carbon. Because I'd like to be able to level select. But being able to fast travel once you have traveled all these places makes sense to me for all the reasons, right? Like, even I, someone who loves walking from point A to point B, who is... I'm going to the Imperial City. I'm actually going right here. That's my destination. I could literally just... right there in seconds, but I wanted to do on this walk, not only because I have stuff to talk to through the Lorerun, but because I wanted to demonstrate the point I'm making now. Because let's say, for a moment, that I am 20 hours into the game, or 50 hours into the game, and I am on a quest to go over here. At this point in the game, being forced to walk that's just an aggravation. That's just, ugh, alright. Alright. You know, having that option to just get there and skip the padding. Now, I have never actually heard an argument that I could agree with against fast travel in these type of games. Yeah, I don't actually know what else to say about that. The end. But I did ask Django's question earlier. I did ask the question about whether you could be a bad guy in Oblivion, or excuse me, in Morrowind or not, for a good reason. And that's because of a quest that's right here. Now, I'm not doing this quest. There's no reason to do this quest except to demonstrate what I'm about to talk to you about. And that is, there's a quest here where there's this old man, and he comes out and says, "Man, I'm getting on in the years, and I really, if you could get me some fish scales from the frickin' fish, the slaughter fish in the river, I could go..." Yeah, I know you answered, Django. "I could go and I could retire." And so you can go and gather fish from this stupid river and give them back. It's a fairly simple go-to-10 quest, right? It's like, go, get, come back. The funny thing is, though, this quest best demonstrates how Oblivion was kind of going more in the direction of being able to play a bad guy than Morrowind did. Because what you can do with this guy is you can go get the scales and then come back and then turn them in and then the quest is done. Or, this is the fun part, when you talk to him, you can actually raise your disposition with him above, I think, 50 or something like that. And you can raise your... I'm just amused, Django, at this argument you two are having on my behalf. It's really funny, because you're both on the same side and I'm not. you can raise your disposition with him a little bit, and be like, hey, so you said you're retiring, right? Like you need a little nest egg. Where are you putting that? Oh, and then he will actually tell you where he's hidden all his money. And then you can go rob him of his money, of all the money he's just putting aside in order to make his little nest egg. I only bring that up because, like I said, this was a little bit of a shift in mentality that was kind of happening at this time in general. Letting players be bad guys, letting players be dicks or evil or whatever, which kind of wasn't a thing prior to this. There was actually an interview by the developers when they were making Fallout 3 specifically, where they said, yeah, we went out of our way to make sure that you can be really, really horribly evil in this game, because that's what players want. And if you remember, it's not that much money. It's like a couple hundred septims. It's nothing. If you remember, that was a trend for several years there. Everyone can be super evil. And then if you'll notice, we've kind of been shifting back away from that. Like in Skyrim, you can't really be all that evil. But anyways, you get the point. I just wanted to point that out while we were here. I do love this walk, I gotta say. Imperial City's fun. I actually really like Imperial City. Not my favorite city in the game, that would be Bruma, but I do like Imperial City quite a lot. It is actually a mixture of Nordic, Redguard, well, they weren't called Redguards at the time, Imperial, which itself is a mixture, and Allied architecture. And I think they did a reasonably decent example, or excuse me, decent job of getting that across visually in the Imperial City itself. Yeah, in order to all the quests, you do have to be evil, and we will be being evil because we're showing off all the quests. There is no way to do Dark Brotherhood without being evil.
You have my ear, citizen.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure at this moment in history they were called the Regatta. I'm almost positive. I actually did a little bit more looking into the Red Guards. Least favorite city? Kvatch! That doesn't count, right? No. I think I'm going to go with Bravil. I've never really been into it. Leowin I'm willing to be more tolerant of, because at least Leowin does have some pretty good quests. I think it's Leowin. Checking my notes. Yep, Leowin does have some pretty good quests. I suppose I'd probably have to go with Oblivion's Dread and Hollow, but obviously I do like Skyrim's. I mean, everyone likes Skyrim's. No, I will not, Carbon. They're all Nords. Why does that keep happening? We tested this game extensively and that wasn't happening. Why is it happening now? Actually, you know what? I do have an idea about that. Let me do this. And this... that's going to get irritating. Put this here. That I'll have to leave there. See if that'll help anything. And here comes the rain again. Running on down like a memory. Sorry. Yep, I'm in the right spot. So, I need to be morning. This whole schedule thing, I admit, while it's a neat thing, I'm kind of more against than for. Because it means that there's so many quests which you have to wait until X day or X time in order to accomplish it, so... oh, right. You know, I feel like being rich. There we go.
Welcome to A Fighting Chance. I'm Rosan, proprietor. I sell the best swords in the city, and I offer advanced training for armorers.
I'm sorry, I'm just looking at
Bragwin's
thing.
Some of my fine wares.
I'm sad. let's see here. What am I looking for? Ah, here we go.
That's a good deal. Tell your friends about me.
Sure thing.
Bye.
So here's my armor I have selected for this run. There we go. What? I think it looks really cool. What do you want? Ah. I could grab Frostmourne while I'm here. I haven't decided if I'm going to or not.
How can I help you? You've got some nimble fingers. What have you...
No, it looks kind of crap in this game. Whoops, I'm actually going the wrong way. That's okay. I'll make it work. Tyrion's face is fine. It's fine. Yep, time to go crush Diablo. You notice I haven't even TGM'd yet. I may not need to. Are we good? Is all the stuff in now? Okay, so quick save. Alright, so we're not going to put that ring on yet, but we are going to go ahead and put on that one. Whee. In Skyrim?
Oh!
Hail, good citizen.
It was Corellis, absolutely. So, let's go ahead and talk about role-playing really quick. I think this is a good time to talk about that. Ignore my gear. Yeah, let's get rid of some of this stuff. Just dump it on the ground here. Don't need that anymore. Don't need this amulet of kings. No, I'm kidding. We're not going to do that. Rusty iron bow. Hey, Logan! Where'd he go?
Hail, good citizen.
I did that one on purpose. Okay, so, which one? Oh, yes, I have someone. Oh god, can you imagine if they had speed limits in this setting, in this series? Let's talk about role-playing. Because how many of you play Elder Scrolls games and role-play them? I'll raise my hand on that one, obviously. Well, I hope it's all good, period. Do you get a cookie this time, question mark? Lore Mom's going to the doctor. Just a checkup. Hopefully. Skooma. If only I knew a skooma dealer around here. Now, part of the reason I ask this... Whoop. What a surprise, the bear beat the Spriggan. Now let me explain why I'm asking this question. Because this is a question, and I actually thought about this extensively when it came to this particular section right here. You know, when you're going to do a role play and a lore run, sometimes you kind of think of it in the same direction. In other words, one of the things I primarily think of in a lore run is how do I make it so the quests flow in an order that makes sense. You know, I'm trying to tell an overall presentation of story, right? I'm trying to showcase the game. And again, I try to do the same thing in a roleplay. One of the biggest problems with most of these games, though, is the main quest is usually so immediate and so like, oh my god, You know, the world is ending and you need to do this. And almost all of these games start out on that note. So it's not like you can start the game, do the tutorial, and then go do other stuff, right? Like, it's always, oh god, you gotta go do this. And so, me and my friends started calling this the break point. Because most main quests have a break point. A moment at which you can, in character, say, okay, things are no longer super urgent, and now it's logical to go do side stuff. And if you don't understand why that's significant, let me just phrase it this way. Please, you must take my amulet to my son and close shut the jaws of Oblivion. Okay, but first I'm going to go join and then take over the Mages Guild. Join and then take over the Fighters Guild. Join and then take over the Thieves Guild. Become a member of the Dark Brotherhood. Go help a couple of cities with their things. There's this one guy who's invisible. I'm going to help him out. There's a couple of vampires I want to do and all this stuff. Right? So if you are planning to do the main quest at all, it doesn't quite fit to basically just peace out. Now, I have a specific spot I consider to be the breakpoint in Oblivion. Fallout 3's breakpoint is actually nice and definitive. It's right after you get out of the simulation when you first meet your dad. Because the quest immediately after that is when the main quest, basically the second act starts. But the first act really clearly ends when you meet him. And then and at that point there's nothing urgent. Nothing's going on. Nothing relevant. So that's the break point. That's when you go do side stuff, right? Not all of these games have really definitive breakpoints. In fact, Oblivion has one that is arguably not a breakpoint. We will be getting there. We'll be doing a couple quests on the main quest before we get to that point. Skyrim's a really weird one about breakpoints, because I do have to not do the main quest first in Skyrim in order to showcase all the content the way I want to. Which means that I have to have a breakpoint somewhere in the main quest before we get to the capture a dragon step. So Skyrim I actually debated for a while. I think I know when I'm going to do it exactly, but we'll get there when we get there. Apparently they still will not be giving her a cookie. So anyways, let's go get to a breakpoint, shall we? See, the problem is, like, okay, Skyrim, right? Let's just talk about this while we're here. So, you have the terrible intro, which we'll talk about when we get there. And then you pop out of the cave, and then it's like, oh my god, we've got to go tell the Jarl that they're back. So that's not really a good breakpoint because, I mean, dragons are back, holy crap. So then you go tell him, and he's like, oh, go talk to my guy. And he's like, oh, go get this thing. That's probably one of the better points right there, is like, you know, we're escaped, I've told the Jarl, the Jarl's scientist guy, who's a moron, wants me to go get something from a thing. Nothing's urgent happening at that moment, and the dragons haven't spawned yet, so that's probably the best breakpoint in Skyrim. But I find that funny because that's basically the second quest. Tutorial, Jarl, peace! Anyways. Yeah, Morrowind has several breakpoints rather naturally as you go through the main quest. And I actually was pointing those out as we went and praising it for the fact that they basically said, yeah, come back in a few days. Go get some experience. Go do this. Go do that, you know. Alright, so let's, whoops. Alright. I would say Oblivion has a more immediate main quest, personally, despite the Alduin in the intro. But I would also say that because of presentation, and I've said this before, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, no offense to Skyrim, but in Skyrim, the stakes should be higher than they've basically ever been in like any other Elder Scrolls game, but they don't feel that way, you know? Alduin has come to end the world. Okay. You know, it never felt urgent. At least the previous ones made me feel the urgency of Daggoth-ur, or of the Mythic Dawn, or even of you know, going to deliver this letter back in Daggerfall. Hey, Joffrey.
Hello. I'm Brother Joffrey. Can I help you?
Yes. I brought you the Amulet of Kings.
This cannot be. No one but the Emperor is permitted to handle the amulet. Let me see it.
Here you go.
By the Nine. This is the Amulet of Kings.
Uh-huh.
Who are you? How did you get this? What do you know of the Emperor's death?
Well, I was right in front of him when it happened.
As unlikely as your story sounds, I believe you. Only the strange destiny of Uriel Septim could have brought you to me carrying the Amulet of Kings.
I suppose that's true, Django. I'll give you that one. So who's the Prince of Destruction? Because apparently I don't know anything about Daedric Lords.
The Prince of Destruction he referred to is none other than Mehrunes Dagon, one of the lords of the demonic world of Oblivion. The Emperor's words, "Close shut the jaws of Oblivion," certainly suggest that he perceived some threat from Oblivion. But all the scholars agree that the mortal world is protected from the Daedra of Oblivion by magical barriers.
Mm-hmm. So how can Oblivion threaten us then?
I'm not sure. Only the Emperors truly understand the meaning behind the rituals of coronation. The Amulet of Kings is ancient. Saint Alicia herself received it from the gods. It is a holy relic of great power. When an emperor is crowned, he uses the amulet to light the dragon fires at the Temple of the One in the Imperial City. With the emperor dead and no new heir crowned, the dragon fires in the temple will be dark for the first time in centuries.
A lot longer than that.
It may be that the dragon fires protected us from a threat that only the emperor was aware of.
The Emperor asked me to find his son?
I am one of the few who know of his existence. Many years ago, I served as captain of Uriel's bodyguards, the Blades. One night, Uriel called me into his private chambers. A baby boy lay sleeping in a basket. Uriel told me to deliver him somewhere safe. He never told me anything else about the baby, but I knew it was his son. From time to time, he would ask about the child's progress. Now, it seems that this illegitimate son is the heir to the Septim throne, if he yet lives.
I mean, realistically, this is at least a few days' journey, Permeus. Especially since, in lore, fast travel doesn't exist, so this is a hike, you know? Even if we get a caravan or whatever. Oh yeah, by the way, I do want to actually say, really quick, I don't want to... I have a lot to say about Skyrim. I'm trying not to talk about Skyrim until we get there. I do think Skyrim is a severely flawed game. I also think it's, of the main three, my least favorite of the main three. But I do think it did several things right, and I don't want to come across as just being a basher of Skyrim, because that's not my mentality. I also want to give praise to this, as was just pointed out by Absurdity. He hasn't actually admitted to being a member of the Blades, or to being the Grand Master of the Blades. He plays his role pretty close to the chest, pretty much up until we prove ourselves very, very definitively. Oh, that's true. When your fast travel time progresses, that is also an interesting thing. It basically calculates based on straight line distance. Yeah, that's true. We also had to make money to buy supplies. I mean, yeah, I would say honestly and easily at least a week. Like around a week to get from leaving the sewers with, like, the rags on our back and a bow we found off a skeleton to making our way pretty much halfway across the country over here to Joffrey. So, anyways.
His name is Martin. He serves Akatosh in the chapel in the city of Kvatch, south of here. You must go to Kvatch and find him at once. If the enemy is aware of his existence, as seems likely, he is in terrible danger. And please, let me know if there's anything you need. My resources here are limited, but I will help in any way I can.
So you can do all sorts of stuff here. Exactly a boring. So you can ask about stuff. I think...
Yes, Boris told you
so,
right.
Okay, here's where he admits it.
I am the Grand Master of the Blades. We serve the Emperor and the Septim bloodline. Talos is our patron. You wonder to find me here? Discretion is our watchword. Only a few of us have the honor to serve publicly in the Imperial Guard.
Could someone tell Bear what graphics mod I'm using? Because I don't remember what it's called. I know we're using one. Not counting the texture mod. Yeah, Joffrey... I wish several characters had unique voice actors, because Joffrey is one of the major NPCs of this game. I mean, he has a significant and consistent role. So does Varys, actually. Although Varys can die. But yeah, I would love to be able, like, okay, I've talked before about all the things I do in a proper remake of Morrowind. One of the biggest things I do in a proper remake of Oblivion is really get some good voice actors and voice directors, and really bring in a lot more people to voice this game. I mean, come on. Let's diversify a little bit here. I know why they didn't do it at the time. I get it. But we could do that now. Anyways, so tell me about the Amulet of Kings.
It will be safest here with me. When you return with Martin, we will figure out our next move.
Yes, Joffrey can die, but much later on. Varys can die pretty early. Like, basically, the next quest where we go see Varys, he can die. Joffrey doesn't die until, as Django just points out, pretty much right at the end. Oh yeah, absolutely keep Linda Carter. Sold. No issues on that. In fact, keep Wes Johnson, I think? Keep Wes Johnson. You say that, Micromono, but if we did a proper rank of Oblivion now-ish, we could still bring in Sir Patrick Stewart. In fact, I'd like to bring as many of the old voice actors back as possible. I just want more voice actors, you know? It's that variety thing again. Anyways,
I keep a few things here in my chest to resupply traveling blades. Help yourself to whatever you need.
he goes, unlocks that. Thanks, Joffrey. I don't actually need any of that, but I appreciate it, man. Alright, let's get out of here. And yes, I will actually be doing each of the City Oblivion gates. It makes the scene a little bit better, and with cheats, it's really not a big deal. What I will not be doing is doing all 75? 77? Oblivion gates. Let me explain what I'm talking about that really quick. So, here's the world. The closest thing to Radiant quests in this game, this could be argued to be the very beginning of Radiant quests, is periodically an Oblivion gate will open somewhere in the world. And then you can go in and close it. Now the thing is, the way they did this was they have a finite number of spots. Like, there's this spot, and there's this spot, and there's this spot. And there's 70-something spots that exist total. And if you have actually, when the Oblivion gates start opening, if you have cleared all of them, there's 90? I don't remember the exact number. There is quite a few. If you have actually cleared all of them, Oblivion gates will actually stop spawning, because there are no more places for them to spawn. I have only done that once in my actual 100% playthrough, and you guys know how severely I define 100%ing a game. So let's head back here. It depends on which exact version. Whoops. You're playing. Hang on just a second. Oh yes, the actual Oblivion insides themselves do repeat. That's another thing that is worth mentioning. So I'm just going to put this here. For no reason. Don't mind me. Ignore me. No, there's no Claudia Black. Yeah, Oblivion had very few dungeon designers. It's pretty much why Oblivion's dungeons, let's be honest, kind of suck. No, I won't be getting a horse. The Oblivion tutorial dungeon really is the one exception to that, at least in base Oblivion. So, yeah. He attacked me, what? I didn't raise a finger to strike him. Didn't even have my weapon out. Hello, Terra. So, yeah, Oblivion is one of the worst parts of Oblivion, I agree. Even cheating, the Oblivion planes get kind of bleh. Like, I'm going to tell you right now, I'll tell you exactly what my approach is going to be to the Oblivion gates. I'm going to TCL, zoom up to where I guess where the final thing is, and then go straight for the exact thing and then close it. That's my strategy, because screw the Oblivion gates. And I don't have all of them memorized, so... Now, this is actually just something I want to point out really quick here. It has been argued that this is one of those things that they basically borrowed and or flat out copied off of mods. Because in Morrowind, there were mods to make the texture on the signs literal. So you could literally look at it and see Imperial City. And that's cool. Here, it's just part of the base game. So that's also cool. Oh my god. It's a bear! Oh no, no, please, please, no! Oh, okay, we're good. Just worried there for a second. And yeah, I don't like the Oblivion Gates. I don't even know what else to add to that. The shame of it, too, is that when you go into Oblivion, you're specifically going into the Deadlands. They don't say that a lot. I actually really feel they needed to emphasize that better, because Oblivion is like a type of plane. It is the actual specific subplanes that we go into. So all the Oblivion gates we go into, we're specifically going into the Deadlands, Mehrunes Dagon's territory. Oh, by the way, you might be wondering why these guys are super strong. I just realized I actually made a mistake. I did, didn't I? Yeah, I made a mistake. Shoot. Hang on. Where was this? Give me a sec. Okay, where's this? After that. Damn. Do I win before that? Nope. I don't. Ah, well. Whatever. I was just trying to make people not die. Where are we on the quest here? Okay. Oh, well. A lot of people in Kvatch are going to die, just as a heads up. Oh, by the way, I like how this is a Dwemer ring of reflection. That just makes sense for the kind of thing that Dwemer would make. What is it, Burmius? Because what I was supposed to do, and I screwed this up, I don't even have it in my notes. I was supposed to not grab this thing until after I finished Kvatch, because I wanted the people to survive Kvatch. I suppose I still have a way to do that, now that I think about it. Is it 8? No, it should be like, let's make that, and let's make that. There we go. Hang on, I think I have another way to do this. Doot.
Come on! Run while there's still time! The guard still holds the road, but it's only a matter of time before they're overwhelmed.
I'm sorry, what?
God's blood. You don't know, do you? Daedra overran Kvatch last night. There were glowing portals outside the walls. Gates to Oblivion itself. There was a huge creature, something out of a nightmare. Came right over the walls, blasting fire that swarmed around it, killing.
I'm sorry, the whole city can't be destroyed.
Go and see for yourself. Kvatch is a smoking ruin. We're all that's left. Do you understand me? Everyone else is dead.
But how did you escape?
It was Savli and Matthias. Some of the other guards helped some of us escape. They cut their way out, right through the city gates. Savlian says they can hold the road. No, I don't believe him. Nothing can stop them. If you'd seen it, you'd know. I'm getting out of here before it's too late. They'll be here any minute, I'm telling you. Run when you can.
Well, but I'm pretty sure it was the siege engine he's referring to. So I'm going to do a save here, just in case I screw this up. So here's Kvatch, the actual town of Kvatch, such as it is. It's part of the cheats. It's actually the part of the cheats I don't want. Let me make sure this is working. Okay, it's working. Perfect. Yeah, actually, this is kind of a funny little quest. That is either really easy, awesome, or insane, depending on your level when you do it, because level scaling.
Stand back, civilian. This is no place for you. Get back to the encampment at once.
Actually, Alright, why don't you tell me what happened here, sir?
We lost the damn city. That's what happened! It was too much. Too fast. We were overwhelmed. Couldn't even get everyone out. There are still people trapped in there. Some made it to the chapel, but others were just run down in the streets. The Count and his men are still holed up in the castle. And now we can't even get back into the city to help them, with that damned Oblivion gate blocking the way.
Well, fortunately, I do have a way to deal with this gate. I mean, I've played this game like 30 times, and I still look at these gates like... Okay, hang on, Max Time. You gotta explain that to me. I'm not arguing. You can leave all you want, but what's the problem? Like, there's been 3 debatables this entire time. I know, I've got a counter right there. Not counting the beginning, I guess. I do want to say one thing, though, really quick here. Because, first of all, Dagon did find out some way that Martin was here. Not actually sure how, but given the severe amount of influence that the Mythic Dawn has, it's not super surprising. I mean, there are literally scrying spells within this setting. What I do want to say, though, is this is something, and I'm sure there's a proper term for this, and I can't actually think about this off the top of my head. This is when someone does, like, a big show of force to hide the fact that they're weak. I'm sure there's a proper term for that. It's you know, the obfuscation thing. Because you'll notice they can't actually muster this kind of force until much later. It takes all of their effort and all of their time, and they've basically been building up specifically so they could do this one massive attack here on Kvatch, specifically to deal with Martin and to ensure that that they have won. And when this fails, they can't do this again for a while. It takes until Bruma until they can manage enough force and power to break through the barriers enough to actually do a direct, straight-up invasion. And I point that out because it does actually showcase how relatively weakened that their position is. And you can see why this kind of thing is so effective. If you're the kind of person who doesn't know the full reality of what's going on, you don't know that this is a big, this is tanking in a way, that this is this big, obvious attack. All you see is this doom thing, stomping through and destroying half the city and people running through and attacking civilians. You're going to look at that and be like, oh my god, we're doomed. Even though they can't actually really do this. This is not them at their full power. In fact, it can be strongly argued that the Aldmeri Dominion, when they begin the Great War, do the same thing. They do the exact same thing during the Great War. In fact, the Aldmeri apparently didn't know that they could have also attacked the Empire when they first started the Great War. It was only during the initial conflicts that they realized how weak the Empire was militarily that they expanded the scope of the war. And then the Red Guards beat the piss out of them, but we'll get to that later. Okay, I'm with you. I get you, Max Time. I get you. Shrug. I guess I'll see you Thursday then, if then at all. So, what will you do now?
The only thing we can do. We'll try to hold our ground, that's what. If we can't hold this barricade, those beasts could march right down and overrun the encampment. I have to try and protect the few civilians that are left. It's all I can do now.
One other thing I like about a lot of the characters, a little more minor characters, is that they hit a bit of a variety. We will actually be doing a quest later that is a very horribly corrupt guard. And we'll be getting him arrested. And then there's guards who are just, not my business. And then there's guards who are like, I will do everything in my power to help my people. And then there's guards who are like, okay, I'm just a guy. What can I do about this? You know, we hit a nice variety amongst the down-to-earth people across the minor NPCs in this game, which I do like. And yeah, to continue what I was talking about earlier with the whole this is a fake attack thing, as Dakoita points out, the mere fact that these soldiers and the people here are able to mount the level of resistance they can is indicative alone of the fact that this is not a real full-scale Daedric assault. So, yes, and then there's Hieronymus Lex. I actually do like Hieronymus as a character, but I also feel kind of bad for him. But I also usually do the quest to make sure... we'll talk about when we get there. All right. Yeah, so...
Some kind of portal to Oblivion. The enemy used them to attack the city. They appeared outside the walls, and Daedra poured out. They've opened one right in front of the city gates. Until that gate is closed, the best I can do is try to hold these barricades.
Yeah, what Abhorring just said is also true. The writers have flat out admitted that they had a lot of Arthurian inspiration when they were designing this game, and it does come across. Like, there are certain... There's a quest later where we will go through the gate. In fact, I think it actually is this quest. I forget which gate it is, because I gotta be blunt, all the gates really blur for me. But one of the gates we go in, and we find out that there are guards who have been in that gate for like a few hours. And who have just been in the Deadlands of Oblivion. Just like, nope. And they're freaked out, of course, but they were doing it. Like, I don't know how to properly explain how wow that kind of is when you think about it. But anyway, so I need. Is Martin here?
You mean the priest?
Yes.
Last I saw him, he was leading a group towards the chapel of Akatosh. If he's lucky, he's trapped in there with the rest of them, at least safe for the moment. If he's not.
All right, then. Well, I'm going to go deal with that thing.
My home! My goddamn home in flames! It kills me that I can't get in there and do something! We couldn't have been any less prepared for this. Seems like they came out of nowhere. There were just so many of them. If only I had a way to strike back at the enemy. But we can't leave the barricade until that Oblivion gate is closed.
You're right. That was the Chadenall. I remember it. It's the Knights of the Thorn, I want to say. There's actually three Knight Orders you can join in this game. So, I'm going to help you.
You want to help?
No.
You're kidding, right?
No, I'm not kidding.
If you're serious, maybe I can put you to use. It'll likely mean your death, though. Are you sure?
Agreed, Dakoita. Absolutely agree. Let's frickin' do it. I'll go through the gate. God, I hate these stupid gates.
I don't know how to close this gate.
I do.
But it must be possible, because the enemy closed the ones they opened during the initial attack.
I wonder why.
You can see the marks on the ground where they were, with the great gate right in the middle. I sent men into the gate to see if they could find a way to shut it. They haven't come back. If you can get in there, find out what happened to them.
Damn it, psychotic.
If they're alive, help them finish the job. If not, see what you can do on your own. The best I can say is good luck. If you make it back alive, we'll be waiting for you.
Barashk. Got your back, boy.
Good luck. It's a brave thing you're doing.
Uh-oh. No. Look at me. Look at me. There you go. No. Look at me. Don't look at the guards. Don't look at the guards. Okay. Damn Atronox. No.
Do your...
Whatever. So welcome to the Deadlands. That is these. Ignore the corpse. It's cool. See, everything I'm fighting is, except for the non-leveled stuff, is level 50 stuff. Wait, what are you doing? Come back here. Come back here. God damn it. Come on, dude. I'm trying to save your life here, man. Not making it easy.
This is the part where you fall down and bleed to death. You're...
Damn it, man. Okay.
Thank the Nine. I never thought I'd see another friendly face.
Hi.
The others... taken. They were taken to the tower.
That's horrible. What's going on?
Captain Mattias sent us in to try and close the gate. We were ambushed, trapped, and picked off. I managed to escape, but the others are strewn across that bridge. They took Menion off to the big tower. You've got to save him.
Okay.
I'm getting out of here.
Yeah? Get the hell out of here.
The captain is still holding the barricade. I figured I was the last one left alive. All right. I'll try to get out of here. Let the captain know what's going on.
I'm sending him back because he's already low on health, and keeping him alive is actually going to be pretty rough. So, I'm level 50, Slifer. That's the problem. So I just want to show off the Deadlands really quick here. Lava. Volcanic rock. Horrible ruins. Spikes. A lot of spikes, which have red on them. It's not actually blood. That's just part of the aesthetic. This is also the only place where you can get certain things like bloodgrass. Oh, that's not true. This is one of the only places where you can get stuff like red grass. And, of course, the plants attack you, too, here. Because, of course, they frickin' do. I have known a few people who go out of their way to basically not complete the main quest until they're pretty much done with bloodgrass and other ingredients they want in here. Which I just find kind of funny. Hey, an ebony claymore. That might be better than what I got. Alright. I do like the look of ebony in this game, by the way. But then again, I also liked it in Morrowind. Oh yeah, this is absolutely where Doom Guy went. This is also probably the worst place for traps. Like, these places are super trap heavy. It's also gross. Like, this is a fleshy pod. And it's exactly what it sounds like. Rocks. And there's a couple other things. We might not see them till later, because this is supposed to be the very first Oblivion gate you ever go into. In fact, I believe there's not even a way to not go into this, like, to go into another Oblivion gate first. Yeah, I'm looking for the landmines, and there's also turrets later. I'm not sure if they're in this first one. Yeah, this is why I sent him home, by the way. Keeping people alive in here is just a colossal pain. You have to do it for a certain quest in Bruma, though. Which sucks. Oh, here. I'll stand still so you can hit me. Like, there might be some broken way to do another gate first that I don't know about. But gates don't even spawn until you start this quest, so... Okay, so no mines and turrets in this one. I'm sorry, what was that, Carbon? So yeah, those are the mines I mentioned. They are mines. Whoa! Right. I actually haven't had TGM on this whole time. Hey, Joe Neutrino. TGM. There we go. Don't worry, I can catch back up to where I was very quickly. Let's make sure that's on. Whoops. I've actually deliberately not saved, though, because I kind of wanted to I wasn't sure if I was screwing. Oh yeah, by the way, it was pointed out earlier by Absurdity, but this ramp up here is literally designed so that you could see the gradual shift. It's slanted up, so you're looking at the sky, and then as you get closer, the shift, which takes some time, starts to show the Oblivion sky. It's a nice little thing. Hey, oh my god, I will help you. Yes, I'll do whatever I can. Let's do it.
Good luck. It's a brave thing.
Damn it, come here. Did I get him? I'm not sure if I got him, hang on. I just don't want to risk it this time. And I kind of already did this. Doesn't look like it hit. Maybe? I can't tell if it did it. Ah, well. Let's just not risk this. And at least it tells me what I'm targeting in this one. Okay, are you essential? Nope, you're not essential. Now you're essential.
Thank the Nine.
Alright.
You're right. You're right. I can't just leave poor Menion to his fate. If he's still alive, we've got to try to save him.
TGM. Absurdity.
All right. Lead the way. Let's find Menion and get out of here.
See, part of the problem is I can't tell if someone's essential until they're out of combat. So. Yeah, I actually had a mega AoE spell, which was funny because the only reason it worked was because I could outdamage my own AoE healing spell. It was an AoE hot. And I would blow it so that everyone in the area is just getting healed and healed and healed. And then I would immediately start stabbing the enemies down to kill them through the hot. That was one of my usual strategies for keeping people alive without, you know, console commands or cheats or anything like that. How you doing, buddy? Good. Whoa. Come on. Jesus, freaking rocks. Okay, so the pathfinding is better in this game than it was in Morrowind, but that doesn't mean it's good. It just means it's better. We won't have the escort quest problem we had over in Morrowind, that's for certain. Apparently, Jungle. By the way, this is literally the only place I plan to show off at all. Hello? Come on. What are you... God damn it. Ah, for God's sakes. Hang on, hang on. Okay. Come here, boy. Come here. Like I said, this is the only plane of Oblivion I plan on showing off at all, because I do want to show off at least one of these for the run. Every other one I'm going to TCL up to the tower and then take the sigil and then leave. Except for the one in Bruma. Mines. Punching animation, not quite as silly as Morrowind. Still not good. It's better than... Oh, there's some ebony gear. I don't like the look of Daedric here.
Come on!
There we go. I'm ready. Yeah, there are actually a few ways to get around the mine problems. Mines problem. God, those things have to have an insane amount of health. My strength right now, I mean, look at that. I suppose, hang on. Where's the... Let's do this one instead. Aw, the poor turtle. Come on up. There you go. You had a nice nap. I like the idea that he doesn't know I made him invincible. So in lore, he's like, oh my god, what's happened? And I'm like, no, it's okay, it's okay. You're fine. He's like, oh, okay. And he's just getting weirder, more and more weirded out as he keeps getting knocked out.
Let's stick together.
Yeah, like I said, I like the look of Ebony in this game.
Let's stick together.
Hey, Geludo. We've already had one issue. We hopefully won't have another. Actually, we've technically had 2 issues. I lost him. Glass weapons are okay, but I don't like glass armor at all in this game. Oh, now you retreat. Stupid spikes. Alright, I was trying to keep that guy alive, but I think I'm just gonna abandon him here. Is everyone cool with that? Where is he? Oh, there he is. Come over here, buddy. No, don't fight the... Hang on. Okay. Come on. So far this is not great. Not the best looking design, but I mean, whatever, you know, it's your boring, typical hellscape. Then, we get to see the inside of places. Now, for the most part, this is the same kind of thing. So I guess actually we need to...
It just keeps getting worse, doesn't it?
Oh, you have no idea. Oh god, you're right, Carbon. I'll take that back. So anyways, so indoors, it's like, okay, yep, hellscape, blood, death.
Now it's my turn.
Creepy looking things. So, we've also got to have the... I can't really call these canals of blood, but that's probably supposed to be blood. Maybe? I don't know. That's probably blood.
Let's stick together.
Because it's gross. Let's stick together. And then he runs off. Where'd you go, buddy? I literally lost him. Whatever.
Let's stick together.
More blood. Sure, an in-lore explanation. So the Aliens were really, really uncreative, like to the point of ridiculousness. And so they made like one pattern for dungeons, and then everything else was just built off the same, the exact same blueprint. More blood. Gotta hang those corpses up. Gotta have corpses. I mean, what would a plane of Oblivion be without corpses, am I right? No, it doesn't. And everyone else just kind of followed suit. So everyone else was like, the aliens were the best architects, so we will do what they did. And then that's why everything is the same. There you go. I don't know, stranger. Oh, good. You're attacking me now. What is that weapon you're wielding? Oh, a Daedric claymore. That looks weird. Anyways.
Let's stick together.
Can I say that I love this cheat, by the way? The only reason this isn't working is because I have a companion, and for some reason he has like a taunt aura on, so they keep going for him. He's died, what, 6 times so far? Something like that. Oh yeah, so speaking of the flesh thing, you gotta have flesh, right? Because, I mean, muscle is one of the best crafting materials. Everyone knows if you want to make a nice sturdy wall, you make it out of muscle and sinew, because... Oh.
This must be what Bandit was talking about.
More muscle. Gotta have the muscle. Very important. Oh yeah, the chests in here are also, hearts. Like, yeah, here you go. So, they're called the Punished. That... So... I do need to talk about this, actually. Right as soon as this guy kills himself by hitting me. Quit hitting yourself, dude. God. And then there's the strewn out... anyways. So we gotta talk about these things. These wonderful little things are probably the followers of Mehrunes Dagon. I will go and give a click for this, because we're not 100% certain. But one of the things that they showcase is most of the actual Plains of Oblivion that we see across the whole franchise do have followers of that Daedric Prince there, as an aspect of the provable afterlife thing. But we never actually see followers of Mehrunes Dagon, not counting the ones that are in Mancur Cameron's Paradise. But we do see these things, and they're always referred to as the Punished. So you can see where I'm going with this. The idea is that these are they. That once if you are a loyal follower of Mehrunes Dagon, this is your reward. Or, if we don't want to be completely horrible, these could be the followers that. And hang on, actually, you know what? I'm going to pull up a direct quote on this one. Give me just one moment, because he has a quote that's related to this. Come on. When I will walk the earth again, the faithful among you shall receive your reward, to be set above other mortals forever. As for the rest, the weak shall be winnowed, the timid cast down, the mighty tremble at my feet and beg for pardon. So the idea here is that these might be the ones who weren't up to snuff, or who pissed him off, or it was a Tuesday, or, you know, whatever reason. And of course you can loot all sorts of stuff from them, like they were treasure chests. Creepy, terrible, horrifying, yada yada yada. Here's another one, just in case. Yeah. There's a bunch of them. And then there's these things. This is what they use to maintain gates. It takes effort, time, money, and resources to set these up. Oh yeah, by the way, the whole thing, the physics kind of go wonky for a minute while that's happening, which I think is kind of cool. And then they reset the physics engine once you come back out here. What happened to your shirt?
What's the plan? I'm right behind you.
You okay?
Am I supposed to be impressed? Let's get this. What's that?
I've fought mud crabs more fearsome than you.
Yes, there's a finite number of sigil stones, and each one of them have unique enchanting effects. Whether that's good or bad is up to you. So... Sky's better. Yay. The hell? Ah! It's back! Anyways, what was I gonna say? Got really distracted by that. Hey, Gabe Mart. Yeah, you don't actually have to do this. So there's actually a side quest, which you don't have to do, which is Retake Kvatch, which I'm doing because I want to. I don't know what's going on with that. It's just repeating. I really don't know what that is. I'm not joking. I'm guessing that's one of the... Actually, no, we don't have a weather mod installed. And it's always... Look, it's always zooming in on me. It's always centered on me. But only when it spawns. Once I move, it just kind of goes around. So I have no idea what that is. Anyways... Oh, God, that's really distracting. What was I just about to talk about? So we close the thing, Oblivion. It is the Godhead. It is the Aramenth. It's like, hey, you did a good job. I just wanted to let you know. Well, we know the out-of-character reason, Micromono, but an in-character reason, who knows? Am I still on? Just give me a second here.
You saved my life. You brought me back from hell. I won't forget it.
You're welcome, buddy.
Farewell.
I was actually going to talk about something, and I've just kind of lost it now. Frel, I don't even know. Whatever. It doesn't matter, I guess.
You closed the gate. I knew you could do it. This is our chance to launch a counterattack. I need you to come with us. You've got far more combat experience than these men.
Yeah.
Are you able to join us now? I can wait, but not for long. We've got to move quickly before they have a chance to barricade the city gate.
Yeah, let's do it.
For Kvatch!
Oh, that's what I was going to talk about. So this is a problem in, well, really all the Elder Scrolls games, but for me, it always felt worst here in this game, especially in this exact quest. It's the accidentally killing people, your own people, that you don't want to, which is a problem for two reasons. Number one, if, you know, you're a decent person and don't want to kill the good guys, and number two, if you don't want to suddenly have a lot of people be hostile with you that you don't really want to. Alright, see you around, Carbon. Be sure to be back for Skyrim. It's actually funny you say that, because I'm actually having more fun now than I have been thus far. So yeah, accidentally killing people is really hard, especially if you are even remotely min-maxed, to the point where you can one-shot most of these things. It's especially irritating if you're an archer, which, again, is that whole thing. Because, it's really, really easy to pull the arrow back and then let it go and have someone literally get in front of you after you've shot, or for the enemy to move and jank, because they do kind of jank and move a lot. And basically, what I'm trying to say is that this is actually a huge problem if you think about it from a gameplay design perspective, and the only feasible answer I've ever come up with is like a toggle. Like if you could pull up the menu and say, options, friendly fire, off. You know, literally turn it off to the point where it's not an issue for you. And of course it does need to be a toggle because some players want to steal or kill or otherwise, you know, do horrible things. So, you know, you could just toggle it on and off at will. But yeah, that is a huge issue and a huge problem in all the Elder Scrolls games. Now, Carbon, you're probably already gone. But I'm actually amused because I have a feeling you weren't here for the whole lore, which is fine. I totally understand that. When me and Jongo and several others sat down and talked about the various aspects of vagueness that were good, the way that they'd used vagueness well in the Elder Scrolls series. Now, I mention this because you posit the idea that I present the vagueness as a universal negative, which is not true. It's just that there's a reason this counters up to 103. My beef is with the fact that they have done too much of it. But I digress. Any guilds I'm skipping? No. There are quests I'm skipping, but most of those are really, really basic quests. Like, there's a quest... I can even show you where it is, because I know it. Where am I? There's a quest right around here. There's like an inn right here. And he's like, man, I just haven't been getting business lately. I think it's because the local necromancer has been scaring people off. Can you go kill that guy? And you say, yeah, sure. And the dungeon's like 50 feet away. And you go and kill the guy, and you go back, and he's like, hey, thanks. You know, we're skipping that quest. Because that's not a good quest, you know. But we are doing a lot of quests in this game. I actually have a full list of every city quest and town quest that we'll be doing, as well as one other little side quest we'll be doing on the... I'm going to keep quiet about that one. Oh yeah, Shadow Banished Wine. Ugh. Now, we will actually be doing the Alien Ruins quest, because I can console command my way through that. But there's a reason we're doing that, and we'll get there when we get there. So.
What's it like out there? We were beginning to fear we were the only survivors.
I'm sorry. Is there a man named Martin here?
Brother Martin? Yes, he's right over there. He led a group of us here during the confusion of the attack. We owe him our lives.
Well, good. Apparently he's already a good leader. That's actually something they do establish, is that he does have a good knack for leadership. Although they do kind of say it as if it's some kind of bloodline thing, which, whatever. No, we will be doing that one, Necro. Along with, like I said, a few other specific ones. I have something to talk about when we get to that one, Carolus. I'm not sure I agree with that, Carbon. Let me use an example I know of a setting I know very, very well off the top of my head. Warcraft. The overwhelming majority of Warcraft lore is not vague. It's not, maybe this happened. It's not possibly. There are some vaguenesses. We don't know the true nature of a June. We don't know who or what a June is. And... I feel like there's another example, but my point is that within the wealth of the setting and all the history and let's say Warcraft lore is absolutely gargantuan, there really just isn't a lot of vagueness in it. Star Wars, most of the vagueness in Star Wars is centered specifically around the Force, and most of that has to do with different writers, although we could say the same about this, so let's go ahead and count that. So there's the vagueness about the Force and its nature. I suppose we could say there's a lot of vagueness about the origins of the setting in Star Wars. Or I meant Elune, sorry. I was getting Azura and Elune confused because, you know. But there is vagueness about the origination of Star Wars. Like, we go back to the Infinite Empire, but we don't know what's before them or where they came from or anything like that, so that's vague as well. But not a huge amount of vagueness. Now I gotta come up with a counterexample, something that does have a ton of vagueness. We don't know what Elune is right now. No, we really don't. We do know Elune is a thing, similar to several things in this setting. Elune is a provable thing. Oh, Thetis? Thetis is okay. That's a totally valid example. And if you remember, I actually banged on about that several times during the Dragon Age lore run when we were going through Dragon Age Origins. There were several times where I sat down and said, "Well, this, and that is what we're told the history of the world is, but we're not sure." And I talked about that with regards to, I can't think of her name, the frickin' saint and her ashes. Why the ashes work, whether or not she was actually a real person or existed, whether, what the hell was going on with the actual ancient elves, what exactly is going on with the Darkspawn, and why, what's his fate, the old gods, Oh, you never saw that one, Carbon. So, basically, I brought up the same concerns there. I didn't make it a counter, because I actually wasn't doing counters back then. But yeah, Dragon Age Origins world building, I should say Dragon Age's world building, is super duper vague. Because it's especially true because each successive game has basically been, and this has been a recurring trend, has been proving some of the history of the world wrong. Like, I don't want to spoil Dragon Age in an Elder Scrolls stream, but literally, like, Dragon Age Origins, it's like, here's the history of the world, and then we find out a bit of that's wrong. And then here's Awakening, and then we find out a bit of what we knew is wrong. And then Dragon Age 2, and then we find out a bit of it's wrong. And then Inquisition, we found out, like, these 15 things are wrong. Each successive game has been proving the history of the world false as we go. Yeah, the Maker, that's another big one. So Dragon Age is absolutely a good example of a very vague backstory setting thing. And of course, Dark Souls. I wasn't even going to bring up Dark Souls. That's the low-hanging fruit. That is super duper mega ultra no really vague. A little bit too vague for me. Way more vague than Elder Scrolls. I guess I just feel weird because I'm finally at a game that I know well, and we've had lots to discuss, and I'm actually having fun playing, and I have tons of more stuff planned and practice, and I feel comfortable, and I have viewers leaving at this point in time. It just feels weird to me. Anyways, let's talk about Kvatch, lady.
It all happened so fast. It was all we could do to round up the survivors and try to get them to safety. We failed them miserably.
Well...
Goodbye.
Yeah, you suck. Not you, her. She sucks. I will also say, Carbon, that I agree with what you said earlier, that it's a problem of writing, not the vagueness itself. This is mostly in good fun. This is just me being silly. It's the same thing with the getting lost counter, which, by the way, is up to the 40s from Morrowind. I don't anticipate getting lost in this game, like, at all. And we've only had the 4 hard crashes so far. Hopefully that won't go up too much until we get to Skyrim, where we'll crash all over the place. But no, I will agree that, like one of the major problems with all this vagueness is that they haven't really done a lot with it. Now, this is Sean Bean. Now, I've noticed that some people are very pro this, and some people are very anti this. Martin tends to be a very divisive figure in Oblivion amongst fans that I've noticed. For the record, I like him. I like him as a character. I think Sean Bean adds some wonderful humanity to him, and he does have a decent amount of good presentation, and we basically get a nice enough time spent with him to become invested in him as a character so that the conclusion then actually means something. So I'm with that. I also think that... Yeah, he's totally going to die. I get you, Carbon. I totally get you. But yeah, that being said, a lot of people can't stand him. And in fact, one of the most common complaints I have from Martin is that he's the main character of the game, not you. I don't actually fully agree with that statement, though. Because this to me, forgive me for quoting something that I know very, very well, this to me feels like a Final Fantasy VI situation, where there is no one predominantly primary character. There are like 3 or 4 who basically share equal measure in the main plot and the main events of the series. And that's kind of what I feel like here. I feel like Martin and the main character both wouldn't have gotten anywhere without the other. a real team situation, if you will, which I do like when pulled off properly. And so I do think that we are the main characters of Oblivion, the main protagonists of Oblivion. Now, that is just my perspective on that. I'm not saying that's the definitive truth. It's just the way I've always kind of looked at it. To use another example, which is in another video game, in Lord of the Rings Online, so there's the Fellowship, which is off dealing with the ring, and then there's you dealing with everything else, basically. We're the ones keeping stuff off their back, preventing the enemy from finding the Fellowship, ensuring that the lands are safe behind them. Basically doing all this stuff back here, like holding the tide. But we're not the main characters, and neither really are them. In other words, both of them are required for Lotro to really function the way it does. Make sense? So I do kind of like that perspective here. I will actually agree that if we're going from a purely, like if we have to write down a definitive essay thing using narrative definitions, I will agree that Martin is the protagonist. But I would also argue very strongly that, again, like I said earlier, we are both the main characters of the story. And yeah, we don't have to necessarily be the guy. And if you really do want to be the guy, that's what Shivering Isles is for. So, anyways.
Have you brought help? We've been trapped here since the Daedra overran the city.
Come with me, you're in danger.
Of course I'm in danger. But I'm needed here. I can't leave. I assume you didn't risk your own life to come here to tell me something I already know. Who are you, and what do you want?
I do like how broken down he sounds here. Because this guy's a priest who probably had a pretty ordinary life until more or less literally, I think it's like 5 portals to hell, including a great portal, which is where the siege engine came through, just suddenly showed up, and it's like, oh crap! And then, yeah, so credit to Sean Bean. He does a good job of just sounding in this scene here. That's actually not a bad parallel. If Martin is the protagonist, if he's Sam, or Frodo if you prefer, we are Gandalf here. Or you could say he's Frodo and we're Sam, which is actually also a pretty fitting parallel. So, you're Martin, right? The priest?
Yes, I'm a priest. Do you need a priest? I don't think I'll be much help to you. I'm having trouble understanding the gods right now. If all this is part of a divine plan, I'm not sure I want to have anything to do with it.
Well, yes, he did, Gabe Mark. That's true. He has already been through some crap. He actually mentions the Daedric worshipping later on. So you could argue he has more understanding of just how bad this is, because Daedric worshipping and summoning is not the same as what just happened to this city. So it could be very fairly argued that Martin has a very... it's like knowing how bad can get. You know what I mean? It's like, if you see... I'm trying to think of a parallel. Pretend for a moment you've never heard of Star Wars, and you've never seen anything Star Wars, and then all of a sudden in real life, a Star Destroyer opens up above you. Now that's going to be like, oh my god! But now pretend someone else does know what a Star Destroyer is, and they see that, and they're just... So you understand the difference there. You know just how bad that really is, and I feel like that's where he's at right now. Just like, okay. So, gods or not, we kind of need your help.
If you came to me for help, you're more of a fool than you look. Look around. What good is a priest?
He really does. You're right, Brakeman. He really does like to grind that word out. What is a priest? So you're Uriel Septim VII's son.
Emperor Uriel Septim? You think the Emperor is my father?
Yeah.
No, you must have the wrong man. I am a priest of Akatosh. My father was a farmer.
Yeah. The Emperor knew you were in danger.
You spoke to the Emperor before he died? And he told you to find me?
I mean, why would I lie to you? Does this look like a face that could lie?
I don't know. It's strange. I think you might actually be telling the truth. What does this mean? What do you want from me?
I want you to come with me to Wayne and Priory.
No. I'm sorry, but even if what you say is true, I won't abandon these people to their fate. I'll go with you when we can all leave here together.
So, that's actually the second time they've kind of hinted at the fact that he would make a good leader. Now, I point that out because, I don't know about you guys, but the plot twist of Martin dying at the end actually legitimately caught me. Hi, Corwin. Because most of this game is, as we were talking about earlier, it's kind of his call to hero story, right? Or what's that called? There's a term for that, like Luke Skywalker's story across the original Star Wars trilogy. Stellar motion capture. I can't remember what it's called, but anyways, the call to the hero thing. He goes through this, and he shows signs of being like the person who could become great, and then he is given the chance to then take action and become great. And then he does rise up to become a good leader and a good scholar, and the kind of person, hero's journey, thank you, and the kind of person who could become a magnificent emperor, possibly even a better emperor than Uriel Septim VII, and that's saying something. And then he dies. Now, I will say, from a writing perspective, that was good. Like, in my opinion, that was good. That was the kind of thing that, like, you do this build-up, you do the arc, and then they finally lay down their lives and end it. It not only caught me, but it made it have more impact. And again, like I said, we spend a lot of time with him, so we kind of become invested in him, or at least we have the opportunity to become invested with him over time. But I do have to wonder what would have happened if Martin had lived. If he had become Emperor Martin Septim the Eighth, or whatever the hell they would actually denotate that, instead of things going to the Medes dynasty. Yeah, he could have been, Tara. Absolutely. And yeah, the way he goes out, just... you got it, Dream Whisperer. Thank you. Yeah, that's right. It wasn't a forced twist. I'll give you that one as well. Absolutely. Now, the funny thing is, I actually have thought more than once that the writers looked at that situation and said, well, shoot, how are we going to make the main character not become emperor for the next game? And that, I have no proof of this, but I have this suspicion that in the writing room, they were like, And that kind of led to the Shivering Isles. So anyways, let's go save these damn people.
I'm just lucky to be alive.
Make sure I have the right spell equipped here. Yep.
How did you get in here? What are you doing here?
I'm here to save you.
I don't know how you got in here, but you're not saving anyone.
I'm sorry, what?
No one leaves this chapel until the captain gives the all clear. I have my orders.
But... Okay. Cool.
Farewell. No one goes through this door unless under the captain...
God damn it. Captain, hey, I need your help with something.
We wiped the bastards out. It's safe to pull those people out of the chapel. Let's get in there and make sure they're all right. Come on. This is only the beginning of the battle for Kvatch. We can discuss the next phase once the civilians are safe.
Oh yeah, they also like to say Kvatch a lot. I'm not sure if that's actually properly how that's pronounced. Or if... Because I have a tendency to pronounce my A's as Oz. That's just the way my accent works. Almost did it right there. So I kind of lean towards calling things like Kvatch or Django or, whatever. So that... Carbon, although that's probably how I'm supposed to pronounce that. So anyways...
Report, soldier.
Sir, we're all that's left.
See you around, Carbon.
Eric Inian,
hopefully.
myself, and these civilians.
That's it? There's no one else?
There were others, sir, but they refused to stay put. We tried to convince them it was dangerous, but they left anyway. I guess they didn't make it.
No, they're super
Very
dead.
well. The area outside the chapel has been cleared, and these people need to be taken to safety. Escort them to the camp south of here at once.
But sir, I want to help fight.
So we're kind of seeing the difference between the good voice acting in this game and the bad voice acting in this game right here.
There'll be plenty of fighting to go around.
Sir, yes, sir.
I mean, we literally have a good voice actor
Civilians,
talking to a bad
it's time
voice
to
actor
move
right
out.
there.
Let's go.
I really hope Elder Scrolls 6 is on a new engine. Oh, okay, let me try this. Super Mega Ego, did I say it right? See you around, Martin. That would be awesome, Leander. If you remember when I did my What I Want from Elder Scrolls 6 stream, that was actually one of my biggest wants, is to be someone who actually became a position of power and political power, not just personal power.
We've done it. I can't believe it. I didn't really think this would work. Maybe we do have a fighting chance.
Oh, we do.
Oh, yes. We're not done. Not even close. This was only the first step. If this town is to be ours again, we'll need to get inside the castle. You've come this far with us. Will you go further? If we're truly going to succeed, I'll need much more of your help. I warn you, though, what we've seen so far is nothing compared to the battle that likely awaits us. Take a few moments to catch your breath and think it over. When you're ready, let me know and we'll get underway.
Yes, it is, Necro. I still get comments on it every now and again. So, let me just say that I'm curious how many of you are like this too. I always had a preference here of trying to keep these guys as alive as possible.
Just can't sleep.
Whoops.
I lie down
Wrong
and close
one.
my eyes, but I can't stop thinking about it.
Okay, everyone's essential. We good. Go ahead and ask your question, Blue Walrus. Fair enough, Carvin. And I also want to say, Django mentioned something, which is valid. In Morrowind, we do actually reach a position of significant political acumen and control. Thing is, the game doesn't really follow through on that. It's one of those, like, I am Hortator, but it doesn't mean anything. You know, I am ruler of this, but it doesn't mean anything. Now, I'm not trying to speak negatively of Morrowind. It's a game that came out in 2002. There's only so much you can do with that. What I mean is, I want to be Hortator and then have gameplay about that. You know what I mean? I want to... Anyone remember Dragon Age Awakening, where he had the occasional holding court quests? You remember those? They were optional, actually, where you could hold court as the lord of the land and actually choose things that would change how certain quests would go. Now, that's still kind of smaller compared to what I want, but that's the direction. You know, I want to be Hortator and have people come to me and say, we need your decision on this, or be able to go to someone and give someone orders, or to be able to build something or direct something. That would be awesome. Now, you're right, it's never going to happen, but that is one of the things I want most in one of these kind of games, because these are the kind of games that kind of lead in that direction, in my opinion. I mean, you're right, we're not going to have that in Bethesda-style games, but I want, like, as we discussed earlier, these are games of immersion. These are games of role-playing. These are games of sinking your teeth into the setting. Doesn't that just naturally connect? Doesn't that just perfectly Tetris with the idea of becoming a ruler? Of being the leader of a guild? Of having your own land? I mean, we even build a frickin' town in Morrowind as part of either the Redoran, Hlelu, or Tivani quests. But it's all very vague and disconnected because, again, the times and the tech and the limitations. So... well, Cubic. But Inquisition did have a few good scenes like that, too. I will absolutely acquiesce to that, because... And I loved those scenes. I love those quests, those little mini things. And not even the funny ones, like the goat. I still can't even think about it without laughing. Yeah, you know what? Fallout 4. You're now the director of the Institute. What does that mean? Nothing. It means you can warp in and out of the Institute, and that's it. You know, if you remember, for my Fallout 4 premiere run, I went with the Institute because my thinking was, I'm in charge of the Institute, so I can do something about it. I can actually use this to accomplish something. But then the game basically ends. It's like, you're a leader. So we're going to stop like this whole terribleness stuff, and we're going to start slowly reintroducing like layers of tech and fixing the water table, and none of that. Piss on you. Anyway, so for Skyrim, if I had a choice to focus on one of the two main stories, I would have had it all be about the Civil War, I gotta be honest. Now, my writing style lends itself more towards political and war-based stories, with heavy character focus. Those are the three things that I am probably most experienced at in my own writing style. So if you give me a choice, I'm probably going to lean in that direction anyways. But even ignoring that, I will say that I feel that's a more engaging storyline. It feels more about dealing with a threat that is a significant change and problem to the land. And it feels that way even in Skyrim as it is now. Like, the Civil War quests are terrible, but the presence of the Civil War is everywhere in Skyrim. It's one of the first things we learn about the entire game, right there during the terrible intro, right? So, make the main plot about dealing with this Thalmor situation and dealing with this Civil War and coming to some kind of resolution about it. And, as you just pointed out, I was actually thinking of this and I was building up to this, it would be a nice way to kind of pull down. You know, you can't just constantly have the stakes raised. That's a pattern for failure right there. So Morrowind, we were saving Vardenfell and probably Morrowind and probably the whole province. I mean, that was a pretty big scale thing. In Oblivion, we're preventing a full-scale Daedric invasion. Not just of Mehrunes Dagon, as I pointed out earlier, but all the Daedra just freely coming in. That's pretty much as big as we've gotten. Have Skyrim go down a step rather than this whole ending reality and time thing that they tried to go for with Alduin. Make it be about the consequences, because the Oblivion crisis did actually lead in many ways to the Thalmor problem and to the Dominion problem. Have that be more solidified. Have it be like, okay, we saved the world, now what? You know, my opinion. Now. The Stormcloak versus Imperial thing that Gabe Mart just asked about is a little bit... There's too much to talk about there. I'd rather save that for Skyrim. But Zawan asks me right now, who do I support, Stormcloak or Imperial? I always choose Imperials. The only reason I'll be doing Stormcloaks for the Lorerun is to show it to you guys. So, anyways.
I lie down and close my eyes. We've done good.
All right, let's do it.
I knew you'd be up to it. Our goal is the castle gate. We should be able to use this door to get out to the plaza in front of the castle gatehouse. You know the drill. Stick close and keep your eyes open. Let's move out!
That is Wes Johnson, right? I'm pretty sure. I hope I'm saying his name right, because I actually have a lot of respect for him as a voice actor.
Do your worst.
Cool statue. Yeah, that would be sweet, Django. And I mean that with total sincerity. Not that Bethesda would ever let anyone else touch their IP. But hells to the yes. Oh, right, I got it. Right. I remember this. Yep, finish your script. I'll explain why I go with Imperial later, but in summary... Oh, he's aggro to something. Yeah. In summary, Ulfric Stormcloak... Oh, I see the problem. Ulfric Stormcloak, and I guess for lack of a better way to put this, now's not the time. You know what I mean? I despise Ulfric Stormcloak, but again, now's not the time for a civil war. The Civil War only really benefits... Well, okay, it benefits Ulfric, but other than that, it only really benefits the Thalmor. We can hash this out when we've dealt with that, for God's sakes. Yeah, he's still aggro to something. What are you aggro to, dude? Oh God, there's more up there. Right. Hey! Yeah, Ulfric is an unrepentant bastard. He basically is never not a bastard. Although that has been debated. Okay, I think we're done.
Damn it! This is no good. The gates are locked, and the only way to open them is from within the gatehouse.
Well, where's the gatehouse?
We can't open that gate from out here. The only mechanism for raising it is inside the gatehouse. And the only way to get into the gatehouse now would be through the passage at the North Guardhouse, but that's always kept locked. Hurry and find Barrich Inian. He should be back in the chapel. And should still have the key to the guardhouse. Once you've got it, get to the guardhouse, find the passage, and open that gate. Then we can get inside the castle and secure it.
That's an interesting perspective, Leander. And I suppose if they did have the Dragonborn on their side, that's a valid statement. But remember, they didn't start the Civil War during Skyrim. They started the Civil War before Skyrim, a couple years before Skyrim, actually. Hence, I would then argue, once again, really not the time.
We saw the smoke from the Gold Road while out on patrol. How can we help?
Follow me!
We'll be right behind you.
I do kind of like the Imperial Legion armor here.
I'm just waiting for Captain Mattias to give the order. Finally, a chance to fight back.
I need the guardhouse key.
Yes, I have it. Why?
I need to get into the castle.
That's right. They managed to close the castle gates just before we were forced in here. I'm afraid you're in for a tough time, friend. The city's in bad shape, and it will be difficult to make it to the guardhouse by yourself.
No, it won't.
I'd better go with you.
No.
We'll have to go through
No.
the chapel Undercroft, and then through what's left of the city.
Damn it, man, come on.
If I don't make it, take the key and carry on without me. You'll need to reach the tower at the north wall of the city.
Oh, crap, he just got removed from Essential. What the hell? God damn it. Wait, no, no! Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Oh, God, no, 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 no. Okay, new strategy. New strategy. Ugh. Fortunately, their health's higher, too. Just... Ugh. So here's a fun question. How many of you do the different types of power attacks in this game? Here's a better question. How many of you know they exist? Also, apparently UPS is here. God damn it. Yep, he's dead. God damn it, dude. Well, he's gone. Woof, 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 woof. So for those of you who don't actually know what I'm talking about, there are actually different power attacks depending on what direction you're holding when you attack, and they produce different effects. Now, for the most part, it's not like super essential, not unless you're doing like a challenge run or whatever. But yeah, the script's activated. He's gone. Whatever. Anyways, but I do, what the... Who is casting at me? Oh, God. What the hell? Frickin' spiderlings. Ugh. Anyways, I only mention it because it's something I actually didn't learn at first. The one I didn't learn until I started really doing the arena. Well, I'm saying learn, that's the wrong word. I didn't start using them until one time I was playing this game and I went like straight for the Imperial Arena, like the first thing I did. And it beat the crap out of me. Boop. But having access to like the paralysis attack and whatnot helped.
Yeah.
There's the right one. I forget what all of them do. I know one of them does paralysis, and I think that's the back attack one, which is this one. Whoops, no, not that one, sorry. I mean, this one. There we go. Goddamn spiderlings. I hate spiderlings. I don't actually know if I have that ring on at the moment, because I reloaded. Hang on. I do not. I could put on the ring, but I'd have to take off the reflection ring, and screw that.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's right.
Yeah.
And there's left, which is basically the same thing. And then here's forward, and here's back. Looks a little bit different when you're back here. Anyways, I'm going the wrong way. Because I'm showing off attacks. You know one thing that might be cool? I agree, by the way, the Kvatch symbol's pretty cool. Each city has their own symbol, also cool. One thing that might be cool is having an option. I hope not, Tara. Depends on how many times we hear it. I don't know if the bug is fixed in the unofficial patch, too. Anyways, I wouldn't mind having an option, like, right at the beginning, right? Like, you've just started the game, and it's like, would you like to have basically mutually exclusive factions or not? Now, what I mean by that is, one of the complaints I've heard, in fact, I think people said it in chat just a minute ago, is the problem with the fact that you, the main character, can become leader of the Mages Guild, the Fighters Guild, the Thieves Guild, the Dark Brotherhood, and, you know, all this other stuff, right? And that is a little bit kind of... But, of course, there are people who just want to be able to do all the content on a play or a replay. So having the option to, say, pick a guild, one guild, and having that be the only guild you get to join, is the kind of thing that I imagine some people would choose. Although, I do have to admit, I'm not sure what the difference is between that and just not doing the other guilds. Yeah, you know, Kvatch is pretty big. It's bigger than the Imperial City in total size, I believe. Wait, why aren't you essential? Or are you essential? You're essential. Most hated enemy in this game?
This area is clear. We've got to get inside and find the Count before it's too late. Move out!
No, they don't, Shuryo. I mean, I don't mind leading the guild, but I do have to admit, I kind of have a feeling, this is just my impression, that especially by the time you get to Skyrim, that you become the leader of the guilds because that's what's always happened, right? Like, in Morrowind, it made a degree of sense. The primary quest arcs for Fighters Guild, Mages Guild, Thieves Guild, and even the Morag Tong, there was at least there was a written-in reason for why you became the leader. In Oblivion, same general thing. I mean, we're going to be seeing some major shakeups, especially in all three of the major guilds, the Mages, the Fighters, and the Thieves, and in the Dark Brotherhood, for that matter. So, again, it was written as part of the story that there was a major shakeup, and as a consequence, we're still one of the leaders. In Skyrim, I often felt that it was just blah, 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 you're the leader. You know what I mean? Especially the Mages College. That's by far the biggest problem there. It's like, all right, you've joined the Mages College. All right, go get this mask. Okay, go get this thing. All right, and Kano's gone crazy, and you're now the new Archwizard. What? You know? And I would agree personally, I feel that the promotion was earned in the previous games, whereas in Skyrim, for the most part, it feels just kind of, and now you're the guild lead. So.
Do your worst.
By the way, this entire quest I'm doing is actually optional. Believe it or not. You don't have to save Kvatch. Which is why I find it funny that your canon title is the hero of Kvatch, because you can just leave it. I think I agree with that, Leander. Like we were talking with Carbon earlier before we went off to play Wizardry. It really doesn't come down to what they did so much as how they did it. It comes down to writing. It comes down to what you do with what you got.
All right, this is it. We'll hold this area. You head to the back of the castle and find the Count. Don't come back here without him.
Okay. Yeah, exactly, stranger. That's exactly right. And it's not even the same crisis in the different guilds. There's something significant going on in each of them. In Fighters Guild, it's actually a combination of things. Partially the old guard versus the new guard. Partially the issues with the... Damn, I can't think of their names. The other competing guilds, starting Dak and Leowin. Of course, the Thieves Guild, I mean, the Thieves Guild progression is literally proving you're one of the best thieves, like, ever. And I gotta say, that last quest is brutal. I would actually say it's the hardest quest by far in Oblivion, is the the penultimate quest of the Thieves Guild. It's also one of my favorite quests in Oblivion, which may say something about that. There's also a lot of ways to go about it, like a lot of different ways to go about it. So, think of that what you will. Anyways, hi Tyler. Welcome back to Internet. Welcome back to Lorerun. Welcome back to... Damn. I think I found the Count. Yeah, it was Blackwood something. It's actually a guild from the Black Marsh, and we'll be talking about that a little bit more when we get to that arc. And then, of course, Mage's Guild, we got the whole Manamarco crisis to deal with, which is, you know, pretty obvious and overt. And the only way we can even become... So let me say this really quick. Yes, Harian, we will. One of the things I liked about the Mage's Guild, it's actually structured differently than the other guild quests, is the way you in order to actually join the Mage's Guild, you have to basically prove yourself separately and independently to each of the cities. Do it here, do it here, do it here. The only exception is Kvatch. You know, and then once you've done that, then you join the Mage's Guild, and then you start the actual, you know, predominant story arc. And I kind of liked that. That whole idea of basically teaching you magic while at the same time basically encouraging you to do quests that are, you know, magically inclined. You know what I mean? It also would make sense that the Mage's Guild is more strict about recruitment, especially right now. But again, we'll talk about that when we get there. We'll talk about that when we get there. We will be talking about all the guilds, obviously. Hey, so he's dead.
Where is the Count? Why is he not with you?
He is...
We were too late. If only we'd gotten here sooner. This is indeed a dark day for all of us left. But I thank you for risking your own life to help us. Did you find the Count's ring by any chance?
Don't worry, you can become the new Count.
At least, this is safe. Thank you. I shall make sure it is protected for the time when a new Count is crowned. Here, take this. I have no use for it. I'm tired of fighting. It may serve you well in days to come.
Yeah, he basically just quit the guard and the Legion right there.
Fine.
Now, a mod that I highly recommend to people if you're going to play Oblivion is the Kvatch Rebuilt mod. I forget what it's actually called, but it's the one where over time and with investment you can work on getting Kvatch rebuilt into being an actual city again. It mostly just uses these assets and touches them up with a few other ones, so it's fairly lore friendly, and actually it's something that probably should have actually been in the main game. probably was one of the cut content things. Now, because it's always kind of bothered me that we never go back to Kvatch. This is it. We're never coming back here. And again, that kind of goes back into that whole building up the land kind of thing and rebuilding. And I'd say settlements, but that word's been tainted by Fallout 4, but you get it. I am using an Oblivion, a graphics mod. I don't remember which one. It also takes a while. Like, it takes a while, and it takes money, and it's a cool mod. I do absolutely recommend it. Oh, I'm with you, Akatsuki. He has been through a lot of crap. He has failed his count, who he probably swore a personal oath of allegiance to. Remember, knighthood is a big thing in Cyrodiil here. So he's sworn an oath that he failed at. His town has been wrecked, and he just saw, like, basically hell spew forth. So, okay, Kvatch rebuild. Thank you, Volenfell. Oh, apparently Brigwin wrote down the mods I'm using. Holy crap, thank you, Brigwin. So apparently I'm using the... what am I using? Oblivion Reloaded is the predominant graphics mod I'm using. I believe so, yes. You actually become the Count of Kvatch if you do the entire series of quests there. No, we don't actually have to do this right now. So we won't. I'll save it for when I was originally planning to do it. Whoop, there we go. Yeah. Well, thank you to Lurker if you're there, and thank you to Bragwin for bothering to jot that down. Oh yeah, gotta make sure. I actually have no quest associated right now.
I wondered if you'd come back. I admit I've had my doubts about your story.
Come with me to Wayne Priory.
You destroyed the Oblivion Gate, they say. You gave them hope. You helped them drive the Daedra back. Yes, I'll come with you to Wayne Priory and hear what Joffrey has to say. Lead on.
Okay.
I'm angry. I want to stay angry.
Well, time for the long, arduous journey up to Wayne Priory. Hey, we're here! God, I love fast travel. It's okay, he's essential right now, so... I'm actually using that as well, I believe. It's either that or the city's redone. I actually don't remember which, because we couldn't get them to work together, so I ended up going with just one of them. True enough, Dakota. Hello?
Help! You must help! They're killing everyone at Wayne Priory.
There's a guy, like, right behind you there?
I don't know. I think they're right behind me. Prior Mabarel is dead. I was in the sheepfold when they attacked. I heard the prior talking to someone. Looked around the corner to see who it was. They looked like travelers, ordinary. Suddenly, weapons appeared in their hands, and they cut the prior down before he could move. They saw me watching, and I ran.
Like I said, bound weapons. And yeah, you can fast travel and people will stick with you. Which I believe is the same general way it worked in Morrowind. I have to add an asterisk to that because I'm not sure. I don't really do that with escort quests in Morrowind. Where's Joffrey? Is he safe?
I don't know. In the chapel, praying, I think. You must help us.
Look, the mythic... Oh, crap, oh, crap. Okay, he attacked me. We're good.
Oh, paradise awaits me.
I'm pretty sure I have horse armor, yes.
I do not fear
I
death.
could use a hand here.
Working on it.
Die, unbeliever!
Okay, he's cool. He's cool. Yeah, that's what I was assuming, Django. Yeah, have fun in paradise.
The time of cleansing is almost here!
Who are they?
It does kinda suck being a melee in this game.
I do not fear
Basically because of quests like this. I'm trying really, really hard not to hit my allies.
Paradise awaits me.
Oh yeah, I love that. Paradise awaits me. Yup. Joffrey?
You're back. Thank Talos. They attacked without warning. I was praying in the chapel when I heard Prior Maberel shout. I had just time to arm myself. The Amulet of Kings. I fear that was the target of this attack. I kept it in a secret room in Waynon House. We need to go see if it is safe.
Okay. I'll go check on the amulet.
We'll go together.
No.
But I fear the worst.
No. No. Well, now he's essential, so whatever.
I fear the enemy came here for the Amulet of Kings.
Nah. True enough, Shiryu. Melee is better than Arch. And actually, funnily enough, Mage has the same problems. Because you're either doing an AoE, in which case you're hitting everyone, or you have the same bullet problem. Like, you have to either touch them, which is the same melee problem, or the bullet problem, which is the same archer problem. So, pretty much no matter what, you're screwed in friendly fire, like I mentioned earlier.
Well met.
They've taken it. The Amulet of Kings is gone. The enemy has defeated us at every turn.
Man, you guys suck. By the way, I succeeded at some.
So it has not all gone against us. Thank Talos for that. We gained Uriel's heir and lost the Amulet of Kings. Martin cannot stay here. We have driven them off, but they will be back once they learn of Martin's survival. Which they will.
So where will Martin be safe?
Nowhere is truly safe against the power arrayed against us. But we must play for time, at least. Cloud Ruler Temple, I think. The hidden fortress of the Blades in the mountains near Bruma. A few men can hold it against an army. We should leave at once.
Well, let's frickin' go! Hang on. Tell me about this Cloud Ruler Temple.
Cloud Ruler Temple was built long ago by the founders of the Blades, back in the days of Raymond Cyrodiil. It is high in the mountains near Bruma. Our ancient fortress, sanctuary, refuge of last resort. Martin will be as safe there as anywhere.
I mean, if we're honest, apparently the Blades have a consistent thing about second, because in Skyrim, or either in between Oblivion and Skyrim, when the Aldmeri treat with the Emperor Meads, they deliver a gift of all the heads of all the Blades agents that were in Somerset. So, yeah. Let's go.
We should get moving. I won't rest easy until Martin is safe at Cloud Ruler Temple.
Come on, let's go. Okay, now we gotta go get on a horse. It's very important. The province was named after him, to my knowledge, Necro. So, I hate horses in this game. This is the last time you'll ever see me use these. Literally ever. I can't even turn properly. There we go. Okay, they're on horses. Alright. So, we're just gonna do this. Actually, no, we'll do this. Hey, guys! Where'd our horses go? Ah, whatever. Doesn't matter. You're up for a hike in literally the snow, right? Yeah, fair enough, Orion. And Dakota. You gotta go buy the horse armor, and I actually don't remember where to do that. I have the quest. Don't worry, I'll get the horse armor. Oh, right, I'm a little faster than you guys. Come on. Okay. Yeah, exactly, Brigwin. Like, at least in Skyrim, horses felt like a little bit more, you know, like horses. Yeah, this song right here is probably my favorite Oblivion song. I think it was literally the Heartlands, after the Heart Elves, the Aliads. It's actually still referred to as the Heartlands by some. So here's Cloud Ruler Temple, as mentioned, built in the Second Era. What are you talking about, Horient? I also explained what I was doing earlier, which will be more apparent in just a moment.
I've put myself in your hands.
We got you, Martin. Don't worry. Come on, Joffrey.
Yes?
Yeah, could you...
Grandmaster, is this...
Yes, Cyrus. This is the Emperor's son, Martin Septim.
My lord, welcome to Cloud Ruler Temple. We have not had the honor of an emperor's visit in many years.
Ah, well, thank you. The honor is mine.
Come. Your blades are waiting to greet you.
My blades? I will say that while this is... I like Cloud Ruler Temple, let me start with that. But I will also say that it is ridiculously defensible if you look at it and the positioning of it and the geography of it. Holy crap. Assaulting this temple would be a nightmare with an actual armed force.
Blades, dark times are upon us. The Emperor and his sons were slain on our watch.
Bricks.
The Empire is in chaos. But there is yet hope. Here is Martin Septim, true son of Uriel Septim.
Alright, so I just want to say really quick that sometimes this game has some bad voice acting.
Hail, Dragonborn! Hail, Martin Septim! Hail!
Hail!
Your Highness, the blades are at your command. You will be safe here until you can take up your throne.
Joffrey, all of you. I know you all expect me to be Emperor. I'll do my best. But this is all new to me. I'm not used to giving speeches, but I wanted you to know that I appreciate your welcome here. I hope I prove myself worthy of your loyalty in the coming days. That's it. Thank you.
Well then, thank you, Martin.
God, I
We'd all
love that.
best get back to our duties, eh, Captain?
Good evening, sir.
Not much of a speech, was it? Didn't seem to bother them, though. The blade saluting me and hailing me as Martin Septim. I don't mean to sound ungrateful. I know I would be dead by now if it weren't for you. Thank you. But everyone expects me to suddenly know what to do, how to behave. They want an emperor to tell them what to do, and I haven't the faintest idea.
Very human, as I said earlier. Not much to add, just love it.
Of course. The amulet of kings. So I, can take it to the Temple of the One and light the dragon fires. And stop the Oblivion invasion.
And then you will be Emperor.
The Emperor? That's an idea that will take some getting used to. In any case, we need the amulet first. Maybe Joffrey will know where to start.
Yeah, maybe.
Good evening,
Don't
sir.
worry
Good
about
evening,
me,
sir.
my friend.
Hail.
I know I'm in good hands.
So this is one of the reasons I find it funny that you asked that, Horient, because this is the break point in Oblivion. Martin is secured and safe in Cloud Ruler Temple. This place is nice and secure, and the Oblivion invasion hasn't really begun in earnest yet. The immediate crises of getting to Martin and getting the amulet and saving Kvatch have all been dealt with. We are now at the point at which this is the biggest possible moment in the main quest to go ahead and start doing all of the side stuff. There really isn't a moment after this, because pretty much from this point onwards, there's my favorite city right there. Pretty much from this point onwards, it's go, 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 until we get to and conclude the ending. So now is when we're going to go start doing other stuff. I do also want to comment on Cloud Ruler Temple here just for a little bit. So this is Akaviri architecture, or more specifically, I really have no idea how to pronounce this word, Sykesy architecture, which is the snake people, the Naga wannabes. Now, obviously very oriental. This has kind of changed over the years. Some have argued it's become Flanderized. Whether that's true or not, that's up to friggin' you guys. I don't know. That's a judgment call. But originally, the Akaviri were pretty different, and then they changed them, and then they changed them again, and then basically nowadays, when they say Akaviri, they usually mean Japanese. That is especially true as of Skyrim. Yeah, exactly, stranger. See, you understand. I mean, I could technically get the next quest, but like I said, we'll just leave that for its own thing. No, it is definitely Oriental in style and very much inspired by Japanese, but you say the Seisi? But there's a T and a C in it. Anyways, so the Seisi, God, I don't freaking know. The snake people are usually what people mean when they refer to the Akaviri. As I mentioned before, in fact, hang on, I actually pulled up a thing here because holy crap, I'm terrible with pronunciations. I'm going to screw up every one of these. I'm just going to tell you that right now. I'm going to screw up every single one of these pronunciations. So we got the Kamal, the snake people, the Tongmo, and the Kapotun, and probably humans. Well, it does, sure you. That is actually true. These are the Akaviri. Now, I kind of already talked about this, so I'm not going to really rehash this too much. The only thing that this is relevant specifically for Oblivion is with regards to the blades and who and what they are. So, once upon a time, the Snake People led a major invasion of Tamriel, and they just their way in. That was actually... Give me just a second. I can probably get you a year here. If you give me a moment. So the Snake People invaded with fear. Thank you very much, Spirit. As ever, those Prime subs are highly appreciated. Thank you. The Snake People... Oh, he does, Vollenfell. Okay. That's actually... I don't think I've ever seen that. Or heard that, I suppose I should say. Anyways, the Snake... I'm going to keep saying Snake People because it's a lot easier. The Snake People invaded in the year 2703 First Era. This is pretty much what led to the foundation of the Second Empire, or the Riemann Empire. Riemann Cyrodiil. So, that he actually referenced him a minute ago, you know, Riemann Cyrodiil. So what ended up happening is after a massive failed invasion, and we'll be seeing a few quests about this later, several of the invaders were just kind of left behind. And those invaders were like, and they were effectively brought into this new Riemann Empire. This began the era, or I shouldn't say the era, but the beginning of the Snake People potentates, and it also began basically a new merger of what would eventually become Imperial culture. Because Imperial culture is already a thing, but it kind of started drifting a little bit with Akaviri culture kind of blending into it. Now, Zawan asked an important question there, and I actually have an answer to that. There's an old saying that... So I mentioned that there's 4 or 5 species. I've said this a few times on Akavir. The 5th that may or may not exist is humans. Now, there's actually a decent amount of evidence that there were, in fact, humans there, and are, in fact, humans here. Now, because the way that the texts in lore in-game are documented about the Akaviri, the Snake People, eating the men, is that it doesn't mean that literally, but it's a metaphor for them assimilating their culture. In other words, that the men are still there and everything's cool, if that makes any kind of sense. It is also possible that they literally ate all the men. The only problem with that is, again, there's a lot of evidence that those men were still involved in the invasion and are probably still there. I'm not going to give this another click because we've already given the Akaviri like 3 or 4 clicks. We were talking about it yesterday. But my interpretation is that it's the metaphor thing. Because, again, there's a lot of evidence that the Akaviri men actually do exist. We will literally be seeing some Akaviri in this game, and they aren't snake people. Just saying. We also don't see the other races, which, so just to go over these really briefly, there's the Kamal. Those are the snow bastards. Their name literally means snow hell. They have invaded twice, once in the second era 572, and once in the second era 812. Both times they kind of failed miserably. The Tongmo, that's the monkey people. So the Tongmo are kind of like the Skaven, or I'm trying to think of another comparison. Basically, they're a mess of internecine fighting and conflict and aggravation, just right up until someone invades them externally. And this happens frequently because they have some pretty good territory. The moment someone tries to invade the Tong Mo, they immediately stop squabbling, turn into this unified ball of death, and just smash the crap out of whoever invades them, and then immediately go back to squabbling. Then we have the Kapotun, who I am probably pronouncing horribly. These people are probably the same species as the Khajiit. They look like them. They have significant similarities between them. They have already had contact between the Kapotun and the Khajiit. We know the least about them, though. They're there. The end, basically. And of course, occasionally they try to conquer the Tong Mo and fail miserably at it. That is also true, although if that's true, then the whole literally eating humans out of existence thing was therefore false. But yeah, one way or another, it is a provable thing that there are Akaviri humans. Whether they were a slave race, or became culturally assimilated, or were literally kept around for food, or whatever, I don't know. Now, why are the Blades dressed like the Akaviri? So as part of the Riemann Empire's thing, okay, back in the first era, in the first empire, the Elysian Empire, there was a group called the Dragon Guard. We'll actually be talking about this more when we get to Dragonborn in Skyrim. But all you need to know right now about the Dragon Guard is that they were the dragon-killing force. And then they won. They succeeded in wiping out the dragons. And so they just kind of started to disperse, but a few of them continued to serve in service of the Elysian Empire, which at that time also had significant Aleid influences. That group was one of the main groups that was still serving the leadership when Riemann Cyrodiil took over and ended up founding the Riemann Empire, hence the Second Empire. Thus, that group kind of basically had a massive changeover, and got returned back over into the Blades. The Blades are basically a re-envisioned or reimagined Dragon Guard, and as a result of this whole let's make peace thing, they started adopting a lot of the technology and a lot of the weaponsmithing and a lot of the styles of the Akaviri. And remember, the Akaviri potentates, which were the snake people, they were a significant political power in the Riemann Empire, which was also part of his deal to keep things nice and stable. And then he went on a conquering spree of doom, but I've already talked about that. And yeah, I was going to say, the idea of foreign mercenaries and bodyguards actually has happened many times in real-life history. This is fairly normal, actually, in real-life history. See you around, Strahd. Hope to see you again. Yeah, screw the Blades in Skyrim. I agree. It's actually irritating, too, because I really like the Blades, mostly Caius, but I like the Blades in Morrowind. I'm down with the Blades in Oblivion. They're cool. Like they're all cool. And then you get to Skyrim. Anyways, so I think that's actually all I have to say about this. There are some theories that... Whoops. Actually, I'm going to make a hard save here, too. There are some theories that one of the contributing reasons for the Blades having such heavy Akaviri influence, to the point of using Akaviri weapons, Akaviri armor, and blah, 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 blah. Probably not, Zoan. It'd be cool. Is that the potentates, while they were still in control, basically really pushed for that. Because, so there was the Riemann Empire, which lasted, oh god, I don't remember, like 400 years or something like that. Maybe it was 800 years. It lasted a bit. It was a decent dynasty. And the potentates were still a strong political figure that whole time. Then we have the era of the potentates, which itself is about 400 years. It's like 430 years or something like that. So there's the 430 years of the potentates literally being the ones in charge of the empire. That then was followed by the interregnum. But my reason for bringing this up is the potentates were very powerful politically, and then were literally in charge of the empire. So it does kind of make sense to me that even if they didn't originally start with such predominant Akaviri presentation, that they would grow to be that over time. I mean, right? Remember, the potentates were the snake people, which are Usually when people say Akaviri, they're referring to the snake people. They could also be referring to the men, but those are the two predominant things. You never really see someone say Akaviri and they mean the monkey people. So, our first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Bruma. So, I've asked this question many times, and I just want to ask it again, because I like asking this question. What's your favorite city in Oblivion? We asked this back in Morrowind, too. Now, I've already told you my favorite city. It's Bruma. I love Bruma. I love the aesthetics. The Nords here are cool, unlike some other Nords I can mention. There's some great quests here. And we're going to be doing a lot of this, more of the side quests here than in most of the cities. And I obviously have some, I guess I have to admit, I also have some... I have some fear with regards to this place. Because the main quest ties into Bruma more than once. So... You know, you kind of have the main quest investment, and I do love the main quest in Oblivion, as I said before. Yeah. Coral's my second pick, by the way, and then Shade and All is probably my third. Thank you very much, Lorinbus. Even though I never ask for those paid subs, I do still appreciate it. Thank you. The only thing I don't like about Skingrad is I don't like the layout of the city itself. There's what I was looking for. So yeah, there's where we're going to have a nice little battle later. Imperial City is one of those places that I should like more, and I don't, and I'm not actually sure why. Like, I don't have a definitive reason for it. There's nothing wrong with the Imperial City. It's great. Anvil? That's an unusual one. I almost never hear someone say Anvil. Also has some good quests, by the way. I noticed nobody's saying Braville or Leowin. Oh, nope, never mind. Luxvat just said Leowin.
You know how to move in light armor.
Yeah, I know how to move in everything, dude. So here's Bruma, just kind of showing it off a little bit here really quick. I do have... it's nighttime, isn't it? Let's go ahead and let it be day. And yes, it is, Sarani. Okay, daytime.
Have pity on an old war veteran.
Please be generous, kind sir. Thank you, kind sir.
Please stop changing your voice.
Do you believe any of that talk about more Oblivion gates opening all over the place?
Nah.
Blessings of Archay upon you. What seems to be the problem? I've heard that Arentus Falvius at the chapel can conjure up creatures. You too.
I actually do like all the cities in Oblivion.
Me children will thank you for your help.
Do you believe any of that talk about more Oblivion gates? Blessing? State your business. Someone needs to get Skjorta under control. You'd think Olfand would be the one to do it.
There we go.
Be seen. Is there a problem? Good news from Kvatch for a change. The last of the Daedra have been driven out.
That would be cool as a one, yeah.
Take care.
Alright.
A coin for an old beggar.
Gotta remember which house it is. Oh, vampires. Easily. Here we go.
You're going to have to leave. This is a crime scene, and no one other than ourselves, our Reynald Draelus, will be allowed access.
I'm sorry. Reynald Draelus?
A culprit in this crime has already been dealt with. It's just a matter of wrapping up the details. I'd tell you more, but frankly, I don't know who you are, so I'm not sure that I can trust you with that sort of information.
Oh yeah, that's another spell I tend to build very early on. It's basically charm other maximized AoE so that everyone in a giant area just loves me. So, I've talked a lot of praise and a lot of negative. Oh, they would, Jungle. I'll agree with that. I've talked a lot of praise and a lot of negative. I've basically said a lot of good and bad things about Oblivion. But there's one thing
listening.
I don't like about Oblivion, and that's this minigame. I don't like this minigame. At all.
Oh, well, every little bit helps.
Also, they made it so you can only bribe to a certain amount. There's basically a cap on how much you could bribe people. Unlike in Morrowind, you could literally drop thousands of gold on someone if need be to raise your disposition. So, now that you like me...
I suppose there's no harm in telling you what happened. Word is bound to get around Bruma anyway. Turns out that Braden Lyrian is a vampire. Or was. If it wasn't for Rainiel Draelis, we may never have uncovered the truth. Let me explain.
Okay.
In the last week or so, we've found 2 bodies stashed in shallow graves outside the city walls. The bodies had puncture wounds on their necks.
Uh-oh.
The bodies were those of some beggars who used to wander the streets looking for handouts. Vampire probably thought no one would miss them.
I mean, who would, really?
Luckily for us, Rainiel arrived in town. He said he was a vampire hunter, so we asked for his help. He tracked the vampire to this house. When he entered the place around noon, Braden was sleeping. He was able to slay him at that point. Luckily, Braden's wife wasn't home. Poor thing. She didn't even know her husband was infected. We did a follow-up investigation, and it's true that no one recollects seeing Braden out in the daylight. He's only been spotted at night. I'm afraid there's not much more to tell you. So, you can see we really don't need any help, but thanks for the offer.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for telling me. See you around.
Feel free to question anyone in town.
I can't believe this is happening.
I know, right?
Please, please, I need your help. My husband was no vampire. It's ridiculous. No one will listen to me.
Ma'am, it's okay. Please calm down. I'm here to help.
Forgive me. I loved my husband dearly, and to lose him this way makes no sense. Anything you can do to help would be wonderful. This is all happening so fast.
Actually, I was going to say, funnily enough, what I'm about to tell you is true. For a period of about 3 or 4 years, I basically didn't see the sun, except for rare occasions. I worked nights. My job started at 9, and I got off at 5, as in 9 p.m., 5 a.m. So I would wake up, and get myself awake and get dressed and get ready for work, and by the time I was driving to work, the sun was setting or it was already nighttime. I would get off work at 5, and I would drive home. And by the time I got home, the sun hadn't yet risen, right? So for a period of literally years, I didn't really see the sun. And apparently, according to this means I'm a vampire. So, I mean, hey. So, I love this quest. Yeah, that's why I'm doing it. Ma'am, please tell me what happened.
I came home only just a few hours ago. I found the door open, and my Braden dead. Standing over him was a Dunmer. I screamed and ran out into the street. Some city watch were nearby and heard me, I suppose, as they arrived quickly. I heard the Dunmer identify himself as Rainiel Draelis. He said he was a vampire hunter, and that Braden was his mark. The guards seemed to know about Rainiel, and after a search of the house, the body of some beggar was found stashed in our basement. The guards sent for Carius, who is an investigator for crimes here in Bruma. In minutes, Rainiel convinced Carius that Braden was a vampire.
I mean, I gotta be honest, he probably was. I mean, you had a corpse in the basement. He doesn't go out during the day. He was killed by a vampire hunter. Why would a vampire hunter kill him if he wasn't a vampire?
Well, of course it does. It was obviously planted here. Why would he stash a body in his own house? That's ridiculous. And another thing. The guards are making a big deal out of no one seeing Braden out in the daylight. Well, of course that's the case. He works at night and has to sleep during the day. Why does that make him a vampire? It's all that Rainiel character. I don't trust him. The thing that bothers me the most is that I swear I've seen him before.
Really?
Of course, he says he's never been here.
Well, yeah.
Look, there isn't much more to say. Please, help me clear my husband's name.
Now I want to discuss something briefly here. This will actually come up later as well, but I want to do the other quest too because it's a fun quest. Do you mind if I just do some fun quests? Not a lot of lore to talk about. They're just fun. I'm also doing it to showcase that story focus that they were really pushing in Oblivion. One of the things that I talked about over in Witcher was that the Witchers themselves, well, obviously they have the potions and the skill and the superhuman abilities and all that. The biggest, in my opinion, the biggest asset, the biggest tool that the Witchers had in their disposal was their knowledge. Hang on just a second. Getting creeped out there. The biggest tool in their disposal was their knowledge. You know, and I've talked about this throughout fiction so many times. I've talked about the fear in this game. Thank you very much, Frozen. As ever, those Twitch Prime subs are hugely appreciated. Thank you. Knowledge. It's an incredible tool when you're trying to fight something. It's an easy concept to understand, but just in case I'm not explaining it well, if you are fighting someone who is like big and strong and powerful, but they have a weak spot or their fire affects them more or whatever, that knowledge makes it so that even though they are stronger than you, you have a fighting chance or indeed are even better than them in a straight up fight, right? This is an easy concept to understand. It's actually one of the precepts behind a lot of video games, too. You, the player, know how to fight what you're fighting. So, one of the things, and this is why I bring The Witcher into this, the guards in this game, while they actually are pretty decent as far as surface level facts, they have no idea how to deal with more concrete, in-depth facts. They don't know complex facts. Because the requirements for being a guard in lore are actually really basic. Can you wield? Are you reliable? Crimes or anything like any kind of checkered past? Nope. Okay, you're in. And that's basically all it takes. I bring this up because this is actually very relevant for this quest right here. And that would be the fact that it is incredibly easy to prove that he's a vampire. Because all vampires within this region have certain basic physical characteristics that identify them as vampires. Including the fact that they always, bits of their skin or bits of their body, when damaged, will produce vampire dust. It's why we can loot vampire dust after we defeat a vampire. And I point this out because this is a basic, definable, in lore, provable thing. It's very easy to prove someone's a vampire after they're dead. This guy's dead. The guard should be able to walk in and say, this guy's not a vampire. Like that. Oops, excuse me, like that. But they don't have that knowledge. So they just buy this story.
I know I sound desperate, but I know I'm right.
So, let's go ahead and switch this to our primary quest. Boop, boop, boop. There we go. Ignore the fact that the quest is called Brotherhood Betrayed. Just ignore that for the moment. Alright. So let's see if we can figure something out here.
Hello.
Well, you said...
Excuse me.
So there's him. Alright, yeah. So... let's find this other corpse down here. Let's see what's going on. So there's the murdered beggar. I mean, gotta admit, this is a little bit obvious. Like, just having this guy dead down here. You know that corpses smell, right? Also, this is one other little thing. Just a little world-building thing they did. They did this kind of thing in Morrowind as well. You get little adverts here and there. And sometimes you'll get, shopping lists, basically. Just cool little stuff that I like. I'm not sure if I think that, Tara. There are a couple of cool vampires in this setting. I think I can literally name two. Hasseldor and the chick in Skyrim. I can't think of her name. See you around, Josh. And Stranger. Everyone's leaving me. No! I don't see anything suspicious down here. Nothing even in there. Alright. Serana, that's her name. That's her name.
Do you have any more questions?
Yeah. Can you tell me anything about Reynold Draelus?
I have no idea where he'd be. Just find him and make him tell you the truth. I swear he's a liar.
Alright, thanks.
I know I sound desperate.
That's because you are desperate. Alright. Where could this guy be? I don't know, actually, Harriet. I know the player character can't in gameplay terms.
Let's hear it. What can I do for you today?
Hey, Olaf. Could you tell me anything that you know about Reynold Draelus?
I usually don't give out that kind of
Oh, right. I'm sorry. I forgot.
Yes.
Have some money.
Every little bit helps.
Alright, so I was going to ask you about Reynold Draelus.
Reynold's staying in the last room down the hall upstairs. Here's the key.
Thanks.
I always liked Braden and Arlene. They were a nice couple. I hope you get to the bottom of this, because I don't believe he was a vampire either.
Let's go ahead and pick this open here. Let's see what we got in here. Nothing really suspicious in there. What's this? It's a journal. 8th day has passed, and there's still no sign of the artifact. We've covered most of the remainder of the outer guard tile and scoured the crumbled gatehouse ruins, but not one clue has arisen as to where it may have been buried. It's quiet out here, as if the ruins were paying respect to the Ayleid inhabitants that had disappeared here long ago. We haven't encountered anything hostile, but if we do, I think we're ready. The Brotherhood's been in worse scapes before. Braden paid good money for the information to our treasure's whereabouts, and I hope it doesn't turn out to be yet another fiasco. This morning our camp was set upon by some bandits who were protecting what they claimed was their territory. Considering that we were outnumbered 3-1, we did very well. Only Reynold suffered a small wound, but that was easily healed by a potion Braden had thoughtfully brought with him on our expedition. To my knowledge, no, Zoan. Although that's also debatable. After getting rid of the bandits' corpses, we set out to tackle the largest part of the ruin, remains of the Great Keep. 2 of the walls of the once mighty structure were collapsed, scattering the telltale whitish rock so typical of Ayleid architecture of this part of Tamriel. This made our assault in the ruin difficult, as many of the larger chunks were too heavy for us to move. Braden suggested we search the center of the building's foundation for any underground entrances, which was typical for this type of keep. His guess paid off, and after several hours of back-breaking work, we cleared an opening just large enough for us to squeeze through and enter the ancient stairwell leading down to the ground. We decided to wait until morning's light to begin our descent into the depths of the ruin. By the way, this is actually a font, but I think they do a good job with it to make it look like script. After a restless sleep, all of us were quite excited at the prosperity of what might lie ahead. Eagerly, we dipped our torches into a fresh container of pitch, lit them, and entered the inky blackness of the stairwell. The stale air was choked with dust and fine grit, a sign that no one had entered this portion of the ruins in a very long time. We became excited, because that meant no other tomb robbers had gotten there before us. The stairwell eventually leveled out into a corridor of sorts that snaked its way to the north. As we carefully walked along, I scanned the floors and walls very carefully for any type of triggers, tripwires, or pressure plates. Such was my specialty. The Ayleid were well known for their cunning traps protecting their tombs, and I wasn't taking any chances. Braden, the scholar of the Brotherhood, was getting more and more excited as we traversed the passage. He was translating wall carvings and was becoming certain we had finally found the location of our prize. After walking for several more minutes, we were overjoyed to see what we hoped to see. The hallway ended at a metal door with the carving of a spider upon it. Now came the true test of Braden's information. It was supposedly a puzzle lock. By pulling the spider legs in a certain combination, it will unlatch. The wrong combination would spell our deaths, maybe triggering a collapse of the hallway or some other equally deadly trap. With a shaky hand, I pulled the legs one by one in the order I had memorized. 6th, 1st, 2nd, 8th, and finally 1st. I closed my eyes as there were a few loud clicks, and then the door popped open. We all breathed a sigh of relief. Pushing the door open, I looked at a huge room with a pedestal at the center. Sitting on the pedestal, illuminated by a shaft of sunlight from a tiny hole, was our prize. So, hang on, I'm going to skip ahead just a little bit here. Boop, 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 boop. I was able to take the pedestal, secure the artifact, and make it back. At the tavern that night, we decided to make a pact. We would stash the artifact in a cave not far from Bruma until we researched it further. An item of this magnitude could be very dangerous if mishandled, and we certainly didn't want to sell it without understanding its true value. Braden agreed to contract a local cooper to construct a chest with 3 locks. Each of us would have one of the keys to the locks, so none of us would have access to the artifact without the others being present. For the rest of the evening, we drank merrily and sang songs of adventures past and adventures to come. Then I murdered the rest.
Greetings to you.
That's actually kind of the direction I've gone in as well in my own works, Dakota.
You look skilled in alteration. Edla.
Yeah, hang on. Do you have a rumor?
The fighters.
Nope. Do you have another rumor?
The fighter.
Nope. Okay.
You too.
Do you have any more questions?
No. But I do want to talk to you.
So, any new revelations in your, investigation?
Actually, yeah. I want to talk to you about,
I'll warn you about one thing. I understand you wanting to help Erlene by checking up on Raynal.
Yeah.
We have it on good authority from officials in a neighboring city that Raynal is what he says he is. So I'm not sure what you're trying to prove. I am only allowing you to do this investigation, and I use that term very loosely, because Erlene is so distraught.
Dude, hey, look, I'm just trying to look into this situation. Now, tell me about Braden.
I'm sure Erlene is very upset. She'll be safe, though. Raynal has confirmed with us that she isn't infected. Her accusations that Raynal is lying is not surprising. At this point, she's so upset that she'll say anything to deny what really happened. I suppose if I found out a loved one was something as horrid as a vampire, I'd find any excuse not to believe it either.
It's actually funny.
Keep up the...
Vampires have a pretty bad rep, but there's not a lot of reasons why. It's kind of weird in its own right here. Hey, right.
What can I do?
So...
I know I may be out of line by saying this.
Hang on.
I know I may be out of line by saying this, but I think the city guards may be wrong. It's hard to imagine Braden was a vampire. I could have sworn I saw him outside in the daylight before. Unless he just got that disease very recently, I'd say they were mistaken. When I heard Raynal killed him, I didn't know what to think. But after your visit here, I'm beginning to wonder.
What about the other guy?
And nothing else I can tell you about him. He comes and goes and doesn't talk to people much. Gelliborn? That's odd that you should mention that name. Raynal told me that he was the last vampire he hunted. Yeah, that's right. Somewhere in Skingrad, I believe. He said he tracked Gelborn down and killed him.
Skingrad.
That's apparently why the guards trust him so readily. They had gotten word from Skingrad's City Watch about Raynal and his so-called accomplishment.
So you're kind of starting to see the pieces fall into place here. 3 thieves invaded an Ayleid tomb, got an artifact, left. They each made a chest. They each have a key for the 3 keys that open this thing. And then they put the chest away. Now, they all know where the chest is, but this guy, Raynal, Raynal, I'm saying that right. He decides, because life is cheap in this setting, and I've said that so many times, and it will continue to be true, you know what, I kind of want that for myself. So he goes to Skingrad, and basically stages an elaborate hoax where he frames Gelliborn for being a vampire, kills him, takes the key. Now, this is funny, because this is actually backed up by a few other things, that the only reason he got away with this at all is because it was Skingrad, which, for those of you who don't remember, is run by a count who is a vampire. And there are multiple vampires in Skingrad, and they know who the other vampires are. So if they see a vampire hunter, and he goes after a totally fake vampire, And they decide to let it slide because that's good PR at that point. Like, oh yeah, we had a vampire, but it's been taken care of. No vampires here now. We had a vampire hunter here just last week. So now we're back with Elder Scrolls lore. I actually wasn't saying anything. I was just doing this quest. I was talking about, vampires and the nature of smart vampires versus stupid vampires and the amusing ironies of the backup to the quest. Rural. Yeah, I have trouble with that one too. Yeah, excuse me. Emperor, my bad. I'm sure the YouTube comments will be fine, just like they always are. Actually, legitimately speaking for a second, usually my YouTube comments on like the Halloween streams are pretty cool. Like, I think I've only had one really weird comment that went off on a thing ever on my Halloween stream comments. I was very proud of you guys for that. So, you guys rock. Yeah, no spoilers, by the way, for Black Panther. I don't get to see it till Sunday. So, this guy just got finished saying that he's checked up on everything and the other guy is totally unconnected. And then I say... disagree.
What do you mean, you disagree? That's a bold statement. What proof do you have that Celeborn was not a vampire?
Well, I actually have his journal right here.
I don't know what to say. It all makes perfect sense now. Why else would Raynal have removed this journal from the crime scene in Skingrad?
Yeah?
I heard no mention of a key either. It must have been removed by Raynal from Braden's body before we arrived. To think that 2 innocent men were killed, and that I'm responsible for one of their deaths, I'm speechless. I will rouse the guard and begin a search for him in the city. Meet me at Olev's Tap and Tack in 1 hour.
Infinite money, Joe Neutrino. Probably. So, okay. We've kind of discontinued the scheduled discussion streams for a number of reasons. Most of which being that they were really unpopular and they were starting to generate some unpleasantness. So, what we're going to be doing instead is at the end of the following lore week, so that means next Sunday. At the end of that, we'll go ahead and... We will have fear. Thank you very much. I'm not going to say your name, though. I do appreciate your support, and I do appreciate those Twitch Prime subs. I can't bring myself to say it. I'm sorry. God, the words. The next Sunday, at the end of Lore Week, we will go ahead and have what is effectively the discussion stream as part of Lore Week. Makes sense.
Hello.
Yes, you keep saying that. Please stop saying that. Yes, fear. Political talk. Also free education. Anyways. There we go. Oh, I do have one thing to say about what we just said. Sorry, I do actually have one thing to say about it really quick. And that's the fact that the guards are so incompetent. Now, I do mean that, like, in an in-lore, in-character way, if that makes any damn sense. The idea being that the guards were like, no, this seems totally cool. Open, shut case. And then I'm like, well, here's some evidence. And he instantly changes his mind on the subject, like, oh my god, it's totally different. I've been completely convinced this whole time that I was completely wrong, you know. I mean, come on, dude. Little bit of brain use there? I mean, he's the frickin' head of the investigation, but whatever.
Seems you've bloodied your knuckles a few times.
Yeah, my knuckles are pretty bloody.
Just before I arrived here, I received a report from one of our scouts watching the roads. Raynal was spotted heading west out of Bruma. The scout tried to follow, but lost him in the mountains.
Uh-oh.
The only cave to the west that comes close to the one described in Celeborn's journal is Boreal Stone Cave. That must be where he's headed. You must get there before he acquires whatever artifact is being kept there and makes his escape.
Of course.
I'm keeping the city guard in Bruma, as Raynal doesn't know we're after him. If he sees a guard, he may panic and run. You're my only hope at the moment. Please, you have my authorization to do everything you can to bring him to justice. If he won't surrender, I think you know what to do. Hurry. I fear you have a day at the most to stop him.
Actually, it is funny you bring up calm magic, since quite a few vampires do demonstrably, in lore, use the calm humanoid effect in order to get across what they do. Someone earlier asked, you know, how prolific is the knowledge of the Count of Skingrad being a vampire. It's not that common knowledge, mostly because of careful, precise usage of, you know, the more enchanting things. I don't even know what that means, Vid 0907. So what's the implication there? How long is a day in game time? I don't remember off the top of my head. I used to know, but I don't remember. I want to say like a day is 45 minutes, something like that. So now we must bring him to justice by murdering him in the face. There's one final little amusement about this quest, which we'll get to when we finish it here in a minute. Oops. Man, how far away is this? It's not that far. I was gonna say, I feel like it's just right up here, and it is. So there you go. If there's a chat delay, I admittedly don't know about it. Oh my gosh. Well, that was interesting. So this is kind of an example of how the directions are kind of bad. Like, they're not bad, not like Skyrim. But his directions were basically we saw him heading west out of town, and given the angle he was going, he could have only been going to Boreal Stone Cave. But that's basically the extent of the directions he gave us, was go here. The only functional way, other than just exploring west out of Bruma, is to go specifically for the quest marker. So, yeah. Favorite Daedric Shrine quest in Oblivion, or in all of them, Stranger? Thanks, Formosan. Guys, Formosan doesn't like my Loreruns. For being my most requested feature, there's sure not a lot of people here.
Congratulations. I had a feeling you would catch on sooner or later.
Glass armor.
Leaving that journal behind was a stupid mistake on my part. I saw you enter Olav's Tap and Tack before I could get there, and I knew that I had to sneak out of Bruma somehow. It was only a matter of time before you or Carius figured it out. No matter. After I've killed you, I won't need my vampire hunter ruse any longer.
You're not going to surrender them?
Certainly not. I'm surprised Carius didn't send the entire city watch up here. But then I would have seen that coming, I suppose. I expected to lay low for a while and then be on my way. So again, I underestimated you. This leaves me with little choice. Either I fight you now and have a chance at freedom, or I surrender and rot in a city dungeon. I prefer the chance for freedom.
I mean... This is actually funny to me. He's actually quite logical about this. He really doesn't have a lot of choices here. And it's funny because we get the impression that this guy was basically the brains of the outfit. And despite being the brains of the outfit, he apparently thought it was totally cool to betray and murder his two comrades in order to secure an artifact that he didn't actually know the value of, rather than keep adventuring with them, take a third of the profit, and then go get more stuff in the future to sell again. I mean, Christ, you know?
Yes, I suppose it is. Well then, we've talked enough. Only one of us will walk out of here alive this day. Good luck.
Thanks.
I've fought mud crabs more fearsome than you.
So he's dead. I don't know why. If you're having frame drops, it's on whatchafig's end. I have a solid connection on my end. No, Brayden was the scholar. So there's all 3 keys. And some glass armor, which I don't care for the look of, so I'm not even going to bother with that. And here's the amulet. It's worth 3 gold. You killed 2 people for 3 gold. That's funny, Pico. I was probably the most popular person playing Morrowind, too. No, yeah, that's in character. I will say that I am filled with fear as a part of this quest chain. So I've heard the favorite is the first argument for a lot of franchises, and I just know too many exceptions to really believe that that's the norm. This being another one. Yeah, I know, right, Casual? Can you hear me right now? I'm just curious. I actually know what just happened, and that sucks. Boop. So that's our first crash with Oblivion. That's going to make things interesting. Thank you, by the way. Sorry, I didn't get to say that in the middle of that. Thank you very, very much, Coopster. As ever, those Twitch Prime subs are very definitely helpful, useful, and appreciated. Thank you. I'm going to test this really quick, if that's okay with you guys. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we just had an underflow glitch. I'm almost positive. And I'm going to test that really quick. Because I'm right here. Auto saves. It is coming out in 2 days, Myron, yes. Yeah, that bandit. See, the problem is we're level 50, which means they're level 50. It's actually the thing I've always disliked about this. I suppose I could try the console command and see if that works. Nope. Didn't replicate. She does have a really nice mace. Like, that probably did a lot of damage. Alright, what's that console command to lower my level? Let's see if we can just trick the game into not producing higher level stuff. I know you shared it earlier, but that was literally like when we started Kvatch. That was hours ago. Look, I'm super looking forward to Psalm. I'm just saying. Yes, I found Apple Watch. Apple Watch is now mine. What am I aggroed to? Bandits in glass armor, ladies and gentlemen. There's the meme. What do you want me to go back? What do you want? Well, it says we're level 5. I hope it's a remake. I hope it's not just a crummy port like the Adventures of Mana was. Alright, Django. Oh, her mace. Shoot, where was her corpse? I don't remember where her corpse was. Did I not? Oh, I don't think it's saved. Yeah, so let's turn that down. Let's turn that down. How is the music volume, by the way? So, where was she? I know, right, Casual? God, level scaling. Pretty sure it was after this, yeah. Okay, so. No, Game Mart. No. What's the thing I'd want most for it to fix? The content that was cut. I can say that instantly and without hesitation. I want the cut content back. Okay, where the hell was her corpse? Well, whatever. My food's here. So, give me a second. Okay, where am I? This way. Oh god, an Oblivion gate opened while I was wandering around. Thanks, Django. Making Oblivion gates open up around me. Okay. Here's the mace. What do you want about it? Thoughts on the Witcher Netflix series? We'll see. That would have been funny. I go to get my food and then she comes back in. Hi, I'm back. Let's talk about... I don't know, whatever the current hot button issue is. I don't actually pay that much attention. I got cheap Mexican, which I will enjoy some of now and some of tonight. Okay, I think this is for later. I have no friggin' clue, Django. Although I can check. If you give me a second. Come on. Alt tab. Give me my mouse back. Give me my mouse back. I don't have my mouse. There we go. Now I have my mouse. Yeah, I haven't had real Mexican food since I lived in Carlsbad. Down by San Diego, if you don't know where that is. Alright, what do I have installed? Where's Steam? There it is. Oh, wow. Okay, so we've got... I'm actually not sure. Mage's Guild, Terra. I'm not sure which of these are actually installed or not.